whenever somebody in the Polynesian community does something like outside the norm, like go to college, educated, articulate, right? Who do we always associate those traits to? Being like
Palangi,
what? Palangi, right?
Shit, man.
Right. It's funny. I see this all the time. When I meet I see this with a lot of families where if one of their kids is very articulate, very smart, very intelligent, has a PhD, the first response to a lot of people, oh, you want to be Palangi. So we
can't just be Tongan.
We can't just be an educated Tongan. We can't just be an intellectual Tongan.
Bro, come
we can't
on.
just be a smart Tongan. We can't just be a Tongan with a PhD.
For real.
Why are we comparing his success to white people? It's because, like you said, because that's what we've been taught, and because we don't know our history, and the history that we know is white history. We know more about white history than our own history.
Woo! Hey, bro, you having a dangerous ass conversation, and I love it. No, honestly, right? I love it because that's the worst problem I had with myself is I didn't know where I came from and what we were about. And the crazy thing is, we are the smallest nation in the South Pacific Island, and yet we still have so much rich history. And whether our other brothers and sisters decide to learn that one day, this is why I speak on it, is because there's nothing wrong with it. You can be smart, you can articulate yourself, and still be Tongan, regardless what others say, whether they be in our community or other communities. There is nothing wrong with it because they're doing it in the Black community. They're doing it in the Hispanic community.
All communities.
So we are not alone when we're going through this shit, because when I see that, it hurts me so bad, because it's like, do you not know who the fuck our king is? Motherfucker, he is sitting on that table with the United Nations when he goes and speaks. Nobody speaks for him. Ain't nobody gonna fucking translate his words. When it comes from him, it comes from him. And everybody down that picks that shit up, it came from a Tongan man. So for anybody to tell me, oh, that Tongan man picked that up from a white man, fuck you. You know what I'm saying? Straight up, because whether you take that as disrespect or offensive, fine, and take it for what it is. But my people are not second rate to nobody.
We are live, y'all. We are live. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Kava Club podcast, where we share healthy conversations, apply knowledge, experiences, and stories to promote happiness, love, success. When harmonized and complete balance completes the circle of life. You guys already know who I am. My name is Will. I'm the host of this show. If you guys are watching this for the very first time, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for watching. Please show some love and support. Please like and subscribe to my channel. Everybody out there that's been watching, been subscribing, been watching my videos, sending me so much positive feedback. Thank you so much, guys. Much love to you guys. Keeps the inspiration, keeps the fire going for me. Keep doing what I'm doing. But I'm excited today, y'all. I'm excited today. I'm on savage. I have this savage mode feeling today.
I like that.
I'm excited today. We have a very special guest, one of our tocos, all the way from Las Vegas, Nevada. He is a savage, pure savage. And get ready. Get ready when he comes on screen. Get ready, y'all. But I just want to tell him directly, thank you so much, Toco. Thank you for the time and opportunity to come on my show and share your life story and have some healthy conversations. A lot of topics we're going to talk about today for you guys. But I'll allow him to introduce himself real quick. So it's all you, Togo.
Hey, everybody. My name is Henry Lealiki, Lealiki, aka Savage Island. I am 32 years old. I do live in Las Vegas, Nevada. I am grateful to be here on the Kava Club podcast with Will here. Real briefly, I'm just in a lot of ways, my brother here is about positivity, motivation, love, and happiness. And I'm not only in the same realm, but in a way, for me, it's good to see this. So it's not often I have circles out here, especially out here in the Tongan community. It's not very vast. Yeah. So if I do see another Tongan, it's not only very rare, but it's either at a function, at church, or in the store. So thank you for having me on.
No, thank you so much, Togo. Yeah, do you have that feeling when you see another Tongan and you just pause?
Hey. Yeah, exactly. It's either the nod or the A. Yeah, man. It's just you already know what it is.
I know it's always the same. Even though we grew up with a lot of Tongans, but when you see another Tongan, if you act like you've never seen him before, like, hey. Yeah. Oh, man. It's all good. Thank you so much. Yeah, ready to start this podcast. I know a lot of people don't know who you are. So can you give a quick quick background story of who you are, your life story, how you grew up, so that people can find know who you are.
Okay. So I'm on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. Those are the platforms I am on. Once again, my name is Savage Island. So if you ever like to check my content out, that's totally fine. Um, a lot of what I do is definitely, like I said, in the realm of motivation. I try my hardest to be as authentic as I can. So everything I post as far as content is everything on my own experience. I'm not out here trying to promote or paint a picture of anything else or anyone else. So anything you see me in is definitely me authentically. And if it's using my voice, but I'm not there, then that's not me. If you didn't hear it come from the horse's mouth, then I wouldn't say believe it. So, uh, yeah. So I like to motivate people, but more importantly, I like to inspire. So if you ever get a chance to check out my Instagram or my TikTok, uh, the content I like to push towards is just critical thinking. I like people to think about what the things I say. So, if it's a minute video, a 30-second video, or a story for about 15 seconds, it's just something I like to plant a seed in and let it dwell in your mind until it sprouts. But yeah, so I was born in Florida, St. Petersburg,
Mm-hmm.
and migrated from the South on to the West Coast, went from Texas all the way to Cali. Um, I didn't grow up with my dad. I actually didn't know my dad until I was 20, 21, 22. In the time missing, me and my mom I was growing up with her side, with my grandma and my grandpa on the West Coast in California, from LA to the Bay. And I mean, it wasn't as different as anybody else especially if you're Pacific Islander, whether you're Tongan or Samoan or Hawaiian or Maori, pretty much the same. Very cultured house, very respectful, whether it's Fa Samoa or Whakapapa. The respect factor was there. The one thing I would say is I probably didn't see another Islander, Tongan or Samoan until I was probably about 9 or 10. And that was a culture shock for me because I honestly thought I was one of a kind. Not that it didn't squash my dream because, in a lot of ways, everybody's unique in their own way. But why that was a culture shock to me was because I went back to Tonga when I was like 6, came back when I was 7. So it was weird to come back to America and not see another Tongan for a while. And then when I did run into another kid in school, besides my cousins, it was almost like I kind of questioned my authenticity as like, oh shit, am I Tongan enough? Like, what the hell? That kid speaks way more Tongan than I do.
Yeah.
But then through there, went to middle school, high school. High school was a big transition phase for me because I didn't go to school with a lot of polys, and when I did, we all knew each other. So it wasn't like I ran into somebody new, but I ran into a lot of real life situations as far as how would I say, social injustices to each community. So growing up with Mexicans, Blacks, Asians, even other indigenous people, I adjusted a lot of my thinking towards that. So a lot of what you see today, the face paint, the garb, the kahoa right here, is a lot of what I internalized at that age. So I was ashamed to show this at that time, and I was really putting on something that I wasn't at the time. Whether I was Fiuriuri or Fiapalangi, or what I wanted to be Black, I wanted to be white, because my self identity. I was in a crisis, because I was hanging with so many groups. I could talk like this, I can talk like that, I could act like this, I could act like that. I didn't realize all the while inside of me, this person you see right now is who was growing and who I would later come on to be. In a lot of ways, my alter ego and who I am proud of now. But I was a lot of times ashamed of being Pacific Islander. I was ashamed of being Tongan. I was ashamed of being just who I really was. And throughout the years, I would learn that I couldn't hide it for a long time. Eventually, you try to hide something for too long, it ends up blowing in your face.
Yeah.
And that's essentially what happened. And so I had a serious breakdown in Cali. I asked my mom about, therapy and things of this nature. A lot of times that I didn't have a lot of male figures besides my uncles, and they had their own kids to take care of. So my mom suggested, why don't you go and seek your father? And I did. and that was the missing link in my life that made it okay for me to be who I am. When
Yeah.
when I went to go meet my father, and shout out to my dad, shout out to my mom, but um, it completed the circle that I was looking for. My dad, talked to me like a man. My dad treated me like a man. My dad treated me like a Tongan man, and how we were supposed to walk upright and how we're supposed to talk at attention. And when I look somebody in their face, to mean what I say, to look them directly in their eyes and say it with bass in my voice. When I shake their hand, shake it with a firm grip, look them in their eyes so that they mean business, or they know you mean business. A lot of that came at a later age, but better late than never. In a lot of ways, I call myself a late bloomer. So I'm catching up now. I'm 32 years old, and it's crazy. I can look outside of myself and like, man, I'm old. But then realistically, I'm catching up on a lot of things that people a generation before me aren't even able to complete themselves. So I'm grateful to be in a situation where I can talk on a podcast and say that I am who I am, and I'm proud of that. So that's about
Yeah.
as I got.
Yeah, I do want to, thank you for sharing that, by the way, Toko. Appreciate sharing that part of your life story. Really appreciate that. The one thing I do want to talk about, I think you just mentioned it, and I feel like it's really, really powerful. It's a topic that people don't really talk about. Is like the impact of what the impact it has on kids when they don't grow up in a home without a father figure.
You make me cry.
No, because one thing I like to do for me, like I like to research. I like to do I'm a really big numbers guy, and I listen to different types of podcasts throughout the platforms. And I don't know if people know this, but but one thing I have been noticing, I don't know if people have been noticing. I have been noticing in the Polynesian community, like I have more and more friends like without a dad, in a single household. So I've just been, for me, I don't really know the data for Polynesians specifically, but I do know there's a big percentage now in America, where there are a lot more single moms now, and a lot more households without a dad, especially in the Black community, just based on research in the data. And I saw a statistic where it said when you remove the father out the house, out the family, and the kid goes, they have a greater chance of being incarcerated. They have a greater chance of failing in school. It's all these things happens if you look at the statistics of when you see kids grow up without a father in their house, and then see what happens to them later. And then there's this big, if you go do your research, you can see it. If you don't grow up with a father in the home, you have a greater chance of going to jail, getting imprisoned, getting arrested. Getting arrested. All these things you got to take a look at. And for me personally, I just seen in the Polynesian communities, I just seen that from my personal friends. I have a lot of friends that grew up with a single mom. So I think it's really, really important. Now that's why for me, I really want to have a podcast and also put that narrative. We need to solidify the importance of family, within the Polynesian community, because I've just seen nowadays, especially in today's culture, where I feel like the culture now it's not even about family no more, especially when it comes to all these things that we listen to as kids with the music, and a lot of people don't realize a lot of these things that we listen to or within social media or the music we listen to is pushing kids away from the values I grew up with the importance of being, moral, have some type of values, moral standards. And if you think about it, if you listen to the music we listen to as kids growing up now in this generation, have sex, do drugs, bitches, hoes, clubs, pop bottles.
It's influence.
Right. I mean, and there's for me, I could go deeper. There's all these things have my own doubts, my own thoughts on it. But I feel like if you look at the statistics, it's affecting the other communities and races, especially within the Black community. But I feel like I'm noticing it's starting to creep up, and affecting
I agree.
the Polynesian community, where I start to see now, just seeing within my own family, the rise of fathers, of Tongans or Polynesians not taking responsibility of their kids. And then now I still have a lot of friends now. They grew up with single moms, and the reason why I bring this up, like, you see the difference, right? You just talked about how you're trying to figure out who you are, right? You're trying to find your self identity, and you were going through mental health issues, and you needed some help. And as soon as you met your dad, that impact, right? Because you have to realize there's certain things a mom can never do, can feel. A mom can never feel the impact that you get from your father. As much love as your mom have, like you said, there's certain things like a dad can't do that only a mom can provide, and there's certain things a mom can't do that only a father can provide. Yeah. So I just wanted to talk about that topic because I feel like that's something that's important. That I feel like in this generation and culture now of letting people just living life with no responsibility, no accountability, and without no morals and values no more. How important for us is to get back to those traditional morals and values, and having God in our life, not only for ourselves but also to make sure like our kids, because I really believe everything starts with the family. Everything starts at home. The love, happiness, success, everything starts at home. And if we don't solidify that home, then we're really raising a generation of kids going out there and setting them up for like a lot of struggle, adversity, and failure and issues if we don't solidify the home. So I just want to open that up to you real quick and just talk about it real quick. Like that shift of you were going through a struggle, and then as soon as you met your dad, and how you had that void that you wanted to fill, and he filled that for you. And if you can kind of expand on that real quick for everybody that's listening.
Okay. Thank you. Well, first and foremost, it takes a lot of bravery and courage to highlight these issues, because I'll be honest, these are very dangerous conversations to have in our community. Not because we're facing the likes of like life or death when it could be that serious, but the fact that you take a stand to highlight these things, I know that these kind of conversations could exclude you from a lot of circles. So reason being, because the answers are what they're afraid of. And a lot of times, especially in our generation, we don't have a voice to speak on, not because we're not trying to be disrespectful, but if we say these things, we know it's going to hurt our parents. So getting back to the question with the mental health and dealing without the lack of a father in the house. First of all, shout out to the mothers, the fathers, the single mothers, the single fathers, because I can judge no one. I know that when they're going through these situations, I don't know what happened. I can't say this for that person or this, but what I can say for those who make the effort to fulfill both sides as far as single parents, good on you, because there will come a point in her life or his life when they need that other person to fulfill that. And for my father, that's who it was. You said that when there's a lack of presence of a father in the house, we as young men are more susceptible to incarceration, being arrested or dead on the streets. And not only do I agree with that, as far as working for the school district as long as I have now, and working with gang prevention units from Oakland to Vegas out here now, with a program known as Underdog, where we sit with kids from the hours of 3 until 8 in the evening until someone can pick them up, keeping them off the streets. One thing that was always evident was when I would have the boys, specifically the boys, and I'm not speaking on anybody specifically, this is still confidential. A lot of time, because I would say I'm a pretty good character. I have a good personality, especially now in my life. The boys didn't want to go home. They would want to sit around. They would want to stay, hang around me, talk. And, and I'm managing anywhere from like 3 to 4 boys to maybe some days 8 to 12. Where we're sitting there, we're shooting the shit. And it's just us, the boys. I'm not watching the girls. It's just me and the boys. But it's something weird when it gets so close. You get so close to these kids, and then they break it down for you. You're never prepared for it, especially in a situation where you're working a job. You forget, oh man, even though this is a job, I'm still human. This kid is bearing his heart to me about the thoughts he has about hurting himself. Now, I'm not highlighting anybody specifically, but I have had these conversations. I want to hurt myself because in my neighborhood, this side is pressuring me to join them because it's a sense of brotherhood. You know what I'm saying? Like whether it's this gang or that gang, but I know that it's not good for me. However, they do have a point. I want to feel protected. And that's one of the main functions as a man in the house is you are the protector. And if we lack the male figure in the house, and we don't have a protector, that boy has to grow up fending for himself. In a lot of ways, they fend off of fear, where it's like every day, if those bullies keep getting to him, getting to him, one or two things are either going to happen. They're going to fold and, hurt themselves, or they're going to join the gang.
Yeah.
So that's what we don't want to happen. But 9 times out of 10, it usually happens. I'll be honest, we can't save them all. And when there's a lack of father in the house, that's what's going to happen. That's the reality. And it's not even just the Black community anymore. You just said it in such a perfect sequence, is that we're almost a generation from losing our ways.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not saying it's going to happen, but we're damn near close.
The signs are starting to show, there's signs.
It's crazy because I wouldn't say our people have faced a type of oppression yet, but the thing we are going to face is a loss of identity if we are not careful. And why I say that is, when we got here, we were already behind. There are communities out here 8, 9, 10 generations in. We're barely touching 2nd, 3rd generation into America.
Yeah.
And we're behind, not in the race. I don't want to make it seem like it's a competition, but I'm talking to Tongan kids every other day about, hey, I plan on going back to Tongan when my mom and dad get back together. And like, it's a weird conversation I have, because I'm like, holy shit, you're Tongan and your parents don't live together, and you're in this program with me. What the hell is going on here? I'm not saying I'm not highlighting something that our people don't have to deal with versus other communities, but it's weird for me because you come from where I come from. And to have this conversation with you makes me want to go to your parents like, hey, what the fuck are you two doing? Yeah. You understand that your son is here with me and you two can't get your shit together while I'm watching your son from 3 to 8, Monday through Thursday? Yeah. But that's not my place to judge nor say. Yeah. It's just a fucking weird conversation, bro. But yeah, that's where I'm at with that right now. It's a battle that does need to be fought, but I can't blame the dads, because there's something that's going on with them. I wouldn't say we're disadvantaged, whether it's Black, white, Tongan, Hispanic or Asian. There's some sort of resource we're missing, or some sort of disadvantage that is in play that I can't put my hand on, but that is driving us mentally to leave the household. Maybe I don't love the mother. Maybe it was a one-night stand. Maybe their family doesn't like me. Maybe it just couldn't work out. But to disadvantage your own child by leaving, fuck, man, it's too emotional to think about. So, but that's what I think about that. So. Yeah. I'm just. What I mean, based on your own personal experience, why do you feel like, because I know you talked to a lot of these kids and they've gone through all these, and I understand the specifics, but why do you feel like now, like the Polynesian father are not taking responsibility for their kids, and that's the question I'm trying to figure out right now. Because I know for me, one thing I do realize, the divorce rate, in America is like 50% right now. Oh,
right?
God, Jesus Christ!
It's like, it's 50%, and then the number one reason for divorce is finance, right?
Oh man. Ooh.
So I don't know why. I mean, like I said, I'm not here to judge anybody. I don't know why people are getting divorced, especially within the Polynesian community. But one thing I do realize is, like you just mentioned right now, we're behind, right? When it comes to the other generations, as far as improving and growth of the quality of our lives to make it into society. And one of the things I do notice is, like, we as Polynesians, we are still living the same island lifestyle.
Oh my God, that's it right there.
Here in America,
trying to bring that here,
right? And we're trying to live the same way, with the same ideologies, with the same, I guess, perspectives when it comes to finance, when it comes to health. We're still trying to live the same way here. But the thing is, like, here in this economy, there's different financial responsibilities, and there's a different way of how how you survive in America compared to how you survive in the islands. And I feel like because people are not switching that mindset and figure out ways to improve themselves and to make sure not only they survive, but they also thrive, but I feel like some of the men, like I said, this is just my own personal experience, but I do see some of the men still trying to live that same way, the island lifestyle back in the islands, still going to fight Kava.
Oh man,
still going to fight Kava and shit, not taking their job seriously, not trying to build a career, not trying to build a career where they can financially take care of themselves and their kids. And one thing there is some data where it shows that women mature faster than men.
Yeah. Thank God for that. Thank God for that.
So I feel like the women are maturing faster and switching that mindset to survive, to thrive faster.
They got it.
Right. But then the men are not doing that, not maturing and adjusting to this society. And like I said, and I feel like sometimes women just get tired of the shit from Polynesian men not taking responsibility. I mean, I don't know if that's the case. Like I said, this is my observations of what I see. But I do realize, like, a lot of the things I see, especially when I see with a lot of Polynesian men, like, they're still living that Polynesian island life here.
Oh.
and then they're just going, if you really want to thrive in America, you have to start making adjustments, right? And try to build a life. But I feel like for me, like, the men are still living that old islander lifestyle, and then they're not improving, getting better, being better quality men. And that, I don't know if that may be the impact of why. And of course the kids see it, kids see it. I mean, I see a lot of kids under 18 now, like, and when I talk to them, like, all they care about is, like, fight Kava. All they care. They're like, we're asking, what's your goals and dreams? Like, oh, what some of them are like, what is a goal? What is a dream? They don't even know what a goal and dream is.
Oh man, that's
and the thing is, they grew up here.
Yeah.
I came here. I didn't know what a goal and dream is, but I figured that out really early in my age, coming from Tongan, because I came here with a different chip on my shoulder. I gotta make it here.
Yeah.
I have that. But the kids that grow up here, I'm like, they're not even worried about the career. They're not even worried about what's like after high school. They're just worried about the same the lifestyle that they see with their pops. Now that's just what. Do you have any thoughts on that? What I just shared?
Yeah, well, I mean, highlighting as far as the disadvantage, like, I don't know. I wouldn't say, because I didn't grow up with my dad, but if I would have saw my dad do the same thing every day, come back home like late in the morning, going out late at night, and that's just what I have to look forward to. Yeah, I would think automatically, hey, that's what I'm supposed to be doing. Yeah. But then you take the father out the house, and then you see the uncles do it, you see your friends do it, and you just kind of normalize it. The thing about it, the father can explain to you because he's there. But not having the father, you're just going to automatically assume that's truth. No, that's how I'm supposed to do it. What I will say is, like, I'm guilty of that too. I was definitely one of those boys. I guess what they would say is I was living that fuckboy lifestyle because it was just normalized. Like, if you didn't have a goal, it's totally fine. We can drink, we can smoke, we can go talk to girls and have sex. I mean, that was just normalized. And the crazy thing about it was, you couldn't even blame the elders ahead because they had no sense of direction when they got here. What I would say is, like, when my grandma and grandpa got here, they left Tongan with a business. So they had the understanding when they got to Tongan, America, they're going to make a business. However, for a lot of their younger kids, my aunties and uncles now, if they didn't have aspirations by the time they got here, they just kind of fell into the lifestyle and got what they say Americanized. And for my mom and them, they worked for everybody. So my mom couldn't even work for herself because she was so busy paying for my grandma and grandpa's the rent for my grandma and grandpa's house. She couldn't really get a house or put a payment on a car or anything of that nature because she was her everybody had a hand in her purse. Not that my other uncles and aunties weren't doing so, but some of them took the risk of leaving the family. They went and married in Florida and never came back. And America will do that to you as far as if you're first generation coming in. Now, I'm first generation born, and I haven't heard those stories. I had to find those stories out outside of the family of the struggles of my family when they got here. But the sad part about it was, while they were struggling when we were born, we came right into the struggle with no solution. So my whole thing is that you said it so perfectly earlier. I'm a child for labor. I'm going to end up working for my family before I get to work for myself. So
Yeah.
a lot of what I'm making goes directly to the family, and that's going to be what I know from the rest of my life until, I have inspirations from guys like Gary Vee or Nipsey Hussle, or even
Yeah.
now guys like Young Go in the community, guys like you.
Yeah.
Even the passing of was it Juice Boy and Cuddy Banks. Now there are guys who are stepping out of the comfort zone and the circle, taking risks in things that are aside from sports. We're not just football players. We're not just security guards. We're not just these things. And
Yeah.
so we now see what happens when you put pressure on a coal. It becomes a diamond.
Yeah.
For instance, man, was it? Yeah, it was you. You had an interview with Diamond Langi,
Yeah.
and I had no idea who she was until you
Yeah.
highlighted her.
Yeah.
And I'm like, holy shit, our people are out here fucking moving.
Yeah.
We're doing this shit.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, I'm not highlighting or bragging, but we just got here first and second generation.
Yeah.
We actually got a good start.
Yeah.
So even though we got here and we started behind, compared to the Black community, the Hispanic community, the Asian community, or whatever community, we actually we jumped with our feet running. So when I'm hearing that person, and then you actually interviewed another one of my good friends who I worked with in Oakland. Her name was Alina.
Oh yeah, Lena. Yep.
We worked at Castlemont. The same thing I was doing here, I was doing over there. I seen her and I was like, man. So there are people out here thriving. You just got to look in the right places or follow them on social media, because if I hear someone like you who looks like me, talks like me, and comes from what I come from,
Yeah.
then I know that my family, my mom and my dad, the struggle that I'm witnessing at home is only temporary, because I'm seeing this guy Will on Instagram saying he left his job to pursue this thing, and he doesn't know if it's going to work out, but he knows he's 100% invested.
Yeah.
Then why the fuck can I do that? Why the fuck can I do that? I'm 16 now, but if I thrive and get to that point, I should look back 10 years from now like, man, I can't believe I was scared to do this.
Yeah.
So even though it seems like a tight space for kids who feel like they're behind, like, oh man, my dad's not here, or I'm not inspired to go to college or anything else. That's fine. There's so many lanes here that we can find and make for ourselves, especially now with the pandemic and how it exposed things. People had to lose their jobs in order for them to push a business. And I'll be honest, I was so fucking scared, bro. When I tell you I was scared, I was fearful that I wouldn't be able to provide for my family, and I just didn't know where the next meal was coming from, because my job had to shut down, and unemployment was only going to last for a couple of weeks. And me and my wife just sat down and was like, what do we do? And I said, I'm going to get on TikTok, and there's this thing called the TikTok Creator Fund. If I touch 10,000 and then hit more views and analytics after that, they engage me more. Shit starts to multiply. So the dream is to start from TikTok, promote anything and everything that I can within my power, and make it happen. She thought it was the stupidest thing in the fucking world, and literally, and it's cool. I understand.
Yeah,
I totally understand, because
yes,
she comes
yeah.
from old school. She's like,
Yeah.
you're saying you're gonna get on this shit and make stupid funny videos? I was like, no, I don't know, but whatever I got in here, I'm gonna push with this, and I'm gonna fucking go in 100%. 20,000 followers later, I'm like, holy fuck, people really fucking watch my shit.
Yeah.
And now I'm on the Will Nakuzi podcast. I'm only imagining later, 10 years from now, when people are watching these old interviews, like, fuck, no, that's how Will did it. This motherfucker got his own empire, and it started from something like this.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to tell that kid, hey, just stay focused. Look at me right here. Keep your eyes on me. I know your mom and dad are not doing good. I know grandma is sick. I know the house might not be here next week, but I'm telling you right now, if you stay focused on this one thing you got to focus on and play your role, a year from now, you're going to get it. You're going to get it. I don't know how to tell you. I can't guarantee you, but you're going to make it, kid. Just believe in it. And that's where we're at in society, especially in our community right now. There's not enough of us in our own community giving life back. I know you're pushing. I know I'm pushing. I know the people you've interviewed are pushing to be a voice, to be an advocate, to be a leader, to say, hey, I may look stupid, but I'm going to stand out now, because I would rather do that than look stupid later, never getting to live my dream. So,
yeah.
I only pray. I can only pray for the kids who don't have access to things like this.
Yeah. I feel like for me, that what we need more. I don't know if you saw that interview I did with Josiah Alipate. He's one of the guys.
I saw a
right?
clip of that. I saw a clip.
Yeah. I feel like as within the Polynesian community, we need more people to step up and challenge our community.
Oh my God. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, I fuck with that.
And when I say challenge, I mean let's call out the bullshit. That's what I mean.
I like that.
That's what I mean when I say challenge.
Shit. Yeah.
And I feel, and for me, I understand the culture, the Polynesian culture. We can't speak to our elders, we can't challenge our elders, we can't express the elders. We can't, and that's just the Tongan way of the way we've been taught growing up. How I grew up, but for me, is like, we have all these problems within our Polynesian community. Like it's like we just talked about one of them. The men not taking responsibility for their kids. The health problems in our Polynesian community, people just dying with obesity and chronic diseases and not taking care of their physical health.
Oh my God, talk about it, brother. I'm here for all
of it. All right, and then the thing is, if anybody talks about it, everybody speaks up about it, then we get silenced, we get ostracized.
Don't talk about it. Oh my God.
We get attacked. And even though this shit's we're talking truth here. We're not. This is not my opinion. This is facts. This is, we are as a community, people are suffering with their health and overweight. People dying with chronic diseases. I just had a friend a couple of years ago, 31, 32, had a heart attack. At 32 years old. Josiah Alipate did a podcast with him. He talked about at that very moment of that podcast, he got a text from his mom saying there was a Polynesian father, I think it was like 40, 43, 42 years old, died, left eight kids behind, right? Because of his physical health. So the thing is, for me, is we need more people to challenge that. We see all these bad things going on with the community. Like, we have to step up and say, hey, like, y'all got to take responsibility and y'all got to change, and we need to fix shit, and this has nothing to do with disrespect. This has nothing to do with disrespect. We're just keeping it real right now, because if we don't, like I said, we're already behind other generations. We're already behind other cultures. And this is real life issues that's happening within the Polynesian community. But like you said, no one feels safe. And that's why I started this podcast, where we can really talk about really deep issues. But I do see that if you talk about people going to fight Kava, the elders, and we talk about we talk about these things, which is real life issues that are really hurting our kids, hurting our generation, hurting our future, and hurting the quality of life. Then like you said, and one thing I see about people, especially Polynesian people, they'll complain about it later when shit hits the fan, when somebody dies, or but then we won't address it. We won't address the problem proactively in the beginning and call it out, but we'll but then when bad things happen, everybody's looking around. Oh, what happened? Now we know exactly what happened, but we see these problems, and we have to encourage people to be able to speak up and call out the bullshit, right? And like I said, I'm not here to judge anybody's life. I do understand that everybody have their own circumstances, but like I said, if something is wrong, if something is wrong, and if something is not improving and helping the people around you, or the family, or having some kind of positive impact within the community, then it's our responsibility as people to call that out. I don't care what age you are, right? And let's not try to hide shit, and let's not try to put. I know Polynesians, they love to like portray a perfect public image, keep that reputation.
Man. That's right.
All right, and I really appreciate you, keeping it real and speaking about it. And that's why for me, like, that's why part of the reason why I started this podcast, which is like we have to talk about these things, because if we ignore it, and if we ignore it, we don't speak about these things, and we don't figure out solutions, then that's why we see our kids, like you said, that's why our kids all these generational cycles and traumas and habits and lives keeps happening. All right. So yeah, that's why I love to see. I like when I see Polynesians like yourself, Diamond Lungi, Josiah, everybody that I've interviewed. Like, we need to push more of that, out there, right? But yeah, like I said, like I just like nobody. No, and that's the thing. I feel like in our Polynesian community, nobody wants to hold the accountability on the people that's responsible, right?
Yeah.
And if a lot of people say if the kids are fucked up, the question is who raised the kids.
Oh yeah, hey, sorry, you can't
You know
deny
what I'm
that
saying?
shit.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and
Fuck, man, you brought up so many good points.
Like, is it really? I do understand the kids. Like, I know being Polynesians, they'll gossip and they'll talk about this kid, talk about this kid.
Yeah.
This kid's doing this, or my kid's doing this, or my kid's doing this. Like, who was raising them?
Yeah.
You.
I mean, I totally agree. I think right now the climate that we're in, because of social media, you got to take into accountability mental health, your physical, and then your spiritual. And a lot of what's affecting us physically right now, if it's obesity, then we're not having proper information. Like, as far as do we have our own TV station that can speak to us? As far as if I see somebody like you on TV, hey, I'm Will, and for the past 8 years, I've been dealing with this and that. And if you or anybody in your family is dealing with it, please call the number on the TV right now. I would believe it, because oh shit, this guy's Tongan. What the fuck? He knows exactly what I'm going through. The same thing. Are you or anybody feeling depressed or have anxiety? Call the number on the screen right now so you could. And I'm like, I would believe it, but one thing that's more normalized than anything is when somebody has access to something. And I'm only highlighting social media because there's other cases. There's way more other cases, but social media. Now, in my lifetime, I've known 3 people who have committed suicide. Yeah. This is not I don't take this lightly when I speak on it, but I'm highlighting it because a lot of that has to do with mental health. And when I found out these people died, I found out through social media. Yeah. How fucked up and how crazy it is for me not to get a call from my closest friends or family, but to see it on social media. Yeah. And how that fucked me up. And I'm thinking to myself, this is just the age we're in, where this is normalized. Somebody dies, hey, RIP this, RIP that. And I mean, why I'm highlighting that is, like, even the sense of privacy, people can't even hurt in private anymore. Yeah. Like, I can literally tap on someone's page on this and I'll know exactly what they're about, based on from their first post to the most current post, where they're at in life. But I would never bother to check in on them. I could care less. I would, oh, they look good. They're happy. Look at all the pictures, the videos, the story. Their snap just died 24 hours ago, so they must be happy. Next thing you know, you just, you see something the next day where it's like, oh my God, they died? What do you mean? You never bothered checking in on them, because even though they were posting all that good shit, that was the facade they put up to hide it in front of you, because they wanted to normalize that they're strong. However, nobody told them it's okay to be sad. It's okay to break down and cry. For the longest time, I was a firm believer and an advocate of be tough. Quit being a bitch. You're being a fucking pussy. You better fucking straighten your chin up. The fuck, I don't give a shit. He called you a weenie, so what? Go fuck his ass up. Yeah. And sometimes even at my son, I gotta remember. Fuck, man, I don't want to cry about it right now, but like, I would never ostracize my son in the public just to fucking keep my manhood. If my son wants to cry and tell me, Dad, I don't feel safe here, I'm gonna grab my son, and I'm gonna hold him in my arms and I'm gonna tell him, you're good, son. I got you. You don't have to worry, because as strong as Daddy is, I'm also soft inside, and you don't have to hide that part of you. That it's okay to be this way. Have a good cry for 30 seconds, let it out, or 30 minutes. When you're good, take a deep breath and think about all the things you have in your life and be grateful for. And when you do come to the realization that I'm okay, get back at it, because I can honestly say that my uncle, or even just, I don't blame my dad, but like, it goes back to that whole thing. If I see someone with a strong character, this will always be strong. This will always be strong. Iron only sharpens iron. So if I hear someone out there being strong, no matter what anybody says about that person, but they're always speaking positivity and love over themselves and others, that's who I want to be around. Why the fuck would I want to be around a circle of people who smoke, drink, constantly have no goals, and always speak the most stupidest shit? Like, man, quit fucking with those people. Those people are weak ass. We don't like them because they bang those colors, or we don't like them because of that shit that happened 5 years ago. Rather than, hey, let's look forward to the future and say this. There's a lot of pain here. There's not a lot of solution. But everybody around this fucking neighborhood is dying. What can we do to attack this and solve this? But no, we can't, because either it's pride, it's ego, or we're in a system. So, but I'm sorry about that.
No, it's good. No, you're just speaking facts right now. And then the problem is, we're just complaining about shit. And then, and if anybody presents a solution and says, hey, maybe we should do this way, then the first thing we do is we cut those people out.
Yeah. Oh my God. Fuck. I just had this conversation with somebody.
Right? We come in, hey, we complain about why this happening. And then and the list goes on. But then anybody that has the one that wants to come back and say something, right? And then we cut them off. And then, or we wanna talk shit about him, we want to gossip about him, or we want to beat them up.
Why? Why do we do this?
We want to beat them up. Right.
Yeah.
And that's why, like, a lot of people, like you said, like that's why a lot of people, they have a lot of people that have solutions, have these things that we can do to change, but they don't feel even comfortable within their own community.
Man.
Right. So once they make it, they're out. I'm good. I'm not gonna, I don't. They don't want to come back and give back to their Polynesian community.
You end up being one of those guys. Oh, I knew him back in the day. We used to be really good friends, and then it's like, what happened then?
Yeah. And if they do make it out, like, sige,
big head ass. Oh my God.
Big head, wannabe ass.
You think you were shit? I was the one who wiped your ass.
Yeah. That type of mentality, bro. It comes from a very, it's a what do you call it? It's like a limited, like, fixed mentality, right?
Oh man,
right.
That's the truth.
And then there's no growth. Nobody's thinking about the growth mentality. And then but the thing is, the only way you can convince, like, for somebody, the only way for somebody to change is either it starts within here, eternal.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Or if they can't see it, then we have to call that and hold them. They have to be held responsible.
Yeah, we and anybody else who's perpetrating, we have to hold them and ourselves accountable.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, just like the laws, right? The laws are there for if we make a mistake, then if we don't have the awareness to figure out what's wrong, then society or the laws in place will hold you accountable. And as Polynesians, we have to hold each other accountable. All right. And the thing is, like I said, nobody, because of the environment and the toxicity of our culture, of the mentality, of the mindset of people, the people that do have the resources, the people that do have the solutions, they don't even feel comfortable giving that information because,
Why? But why though? That's oh my God. You could be freeing up the next person, and it's so sad. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I used to do that, and I realized that
I did the same way. I was the same way too.
Man, oh man. I guess it comes with the understanding. I'm not going to judge anybody because I can only speak for myself. But yeah, you're right. Right.
I feel like for me that the reason why we're like that is because the way our parents raised us is always with fear. And that's how our parents raised us. And it's like, if you just look at it, if you, like, everybody knows, if you raise people with fear, they're always going to be fearful.
Damn.
If you raise people with love and understanding, like, then you'll be able to love yourself and you're able to grow. But you can't grow if you're afraid. And if you look at every aspect of the way Polynesians are raised, right? We can't speak up to our parents. We get disciplined for anything we do. You get, and people don't really kind of like reverse engineer, really dissect everything. And for me, it's just the way we are raised as Polynesians is just putting all this fear within kids, like putting them into a box. And then as kids, like, of course, when you're afraid as a person, you're going to be insecure. And when you're insecure, what do insecure people do? They shit on everybody else to make themselves feel better.
Yeah. It's
right?
what's that they call it? Outward projection.
Outward projecting, you're projecting your own insecurities on other people, right? That's just the way I see it. Is like, and I do understand that our parents, like, that's how they were raised, so they were just teaching us. They're just teaching us and raising us. But I feel like within this generation, within us, like, we have to start making changes, and we have to call this shit out, and we have to bring it to attention and start making changes, because that's why I feel like everything starts with, like I said, everything starts at home. If we actually, like you said, your son, right, you're gonna teach him love, like, if he has a moment if he has a moment of vulnerability, that you're gonna embrace him and tell him it's okay, but and then give him that love that he needs, and then of course help him grow to be a stronger man, right? Yeah. And unless people have that love and that safe place, that's the only way. In order to understand somebody, you have to be able to feel like you want to understand yourself. In order to love somebody else, you have to love yourself, right? But you can't love somebody else. You can't love another individual. You can't empathize with another individual. You can't understand another individual. You fucking hate yourself.
Oh man, no, you're totally right. I used to go to school in East Palo Alto. I was going to school out there, Menlo Atherton, MA. There was a guy everybody used to know. His name was Sione Tata. And if you knew Sione Tata, he would just fucking hit you. Like, that was just, this motherfucker would thigh you in the face. I mean, that was just it was normalized. But like, the reason why we all called him Sione Tata is no BS kind of policy. This motherfucker just, None would like, he don't want to talk things out. He will fucking smack the shit out of you. Yeah. Like, straight up, he will smack the shit out of you, not knowing that it was just a small, minor issue that we could have talked about. But because you smacked that dude, now they're going to come back and fucking retaliate. Yeah. But that's how he up. And, the sad part about it was, it could be 5 against 1 or 6. Shone didn't give a fuck. Shone was the type of person, like, a lot of ways, my uncle's like, no, he's just Loto Mafana. No, that's not Loto Mafana. Yeah. That nigga is fucking Matiti. Like, if you hit one guy and he comes back with 4 more guys, you're going to try to fight 5 guys now. Yeah. But that's the mentality that when you just normalize, like, you don't want to talk, you internalize. And when that shit projects on the outside, you realize, oh, fuck, I'm in a more fucked up situation because no one taught you, or you didn't, no one ever showed you how to talk shit out. And now I don't know whatever happened to Sione, but, I pray that he's okay, because it was such a weird thing to see. Like, a kid, I wouldn't say he was ignorant. He knew he fucked up, but he couldn't show emotion. He couldn't say sorry. He just couldn't do shit. Yeah. I mean, for me to just listen to what he said, like, 2 things could have been the issue. He must have been a very insecure person, or he could have had real mental health issues that nobody ever, like you said, checked in. Yeah. We just talked about checking in on people. Hey, man, is everything okay, bro? Like, I was afraid to ask if Sione was okay. I didn't want to get fucking smacked. No, I'm talking about something. Yeah. His close people that were closer to him. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like we're not, people are, number one, we're not taking accountability for all the shit that's happening, but at the same time, we're not creating a place where people are safe enough to hold each other accountable. And I feel like there's just a lot of fear going on within our Polynesian community, and we need more love and understanding people. But like I said, the people that are trying to make a difference, you have to, like, really put yourself out there and not be afraid of what people are gonna say. And man, that's something I'll just see, man. But I feel like I said, I feel like it starts with us in this generation. And I love, like, everything, and all those Polynesians out there that's trying to put out content to talk about these. Shout out to all the Pacific Islanders, all the Islander creators, Micro, Mela, man. Yeah. I love all of you. And for me, I get a lot of people that always message me, like, give me hate messages. But for me, like, it doesn't faze me at all, because the thing is, like, the issues I'm talking about is real. And, and like I said, that's always going to make you public enemy number 1. I know. Yeah. So, man, I appreciate that, Toko. Thanks for talking about it, giving your thoughts on that. Appreciate it.
I do want to talk about real quick, and before we move on to the questions, about the importance of self-identity. I know you mentioned earlier. I think that's something that's really, really important for every Polynesian, is to figure out who you are. And I know I mentioned it earlier in the podcast, like a lot of times as Polynesians, we never figure, like we try to be somebody we're not, you know. And I feel like for me, when it comes to really finding that happiness, finding that safe place, you know, finally growing to like the type of person, or to your full potential of why God created you, you have to kind of like figure out who you are. Not the person that your parents want you to be, not the person society wants you to be, not the person religion wants you to be. Just you, your own inner voice of what you want to do. And I know as Polynesian kids, I meet a lot of kids all the time that the way the person who they are in public is totally different. The person,
man, I already know what you're talking about.
The person who they are in public is totally opposite of
what they call
the
it.
person.
They call it clout chasing.
Yeah, clout chasing. Yeah. And I meet people that are like all the time, like, you know, they're in front of their parents, they're just individual. And then when I talk about it, when we have this one-on-one conversation, especially my friends, like they're totally opposite of what their parents. And so their whole life, they're just putting all this energy of being like this, being this like fake version of themselves.
Yeah.
Instead of putting that energy actually being yourself and improving yourself. If you're always trying to be somebody or not, you're not really gonna grow.
Damn.
You know. So yeah, can you talk about that? You know, what are your thoughts on, you know, I know you talked about your own self-identity, or trying to figure out who you are, but can you kind of expand on that for everybody?
Well, yeah, first and foremost, I'd like to just give thanks and praise to God the Almighty, who watches over me and who's helped me to discover myself, because I understand now that that phase I went through was necessary in my life. I'm not running away from it. I own up to it. Shout out to my mom and my dad. My mom taught me how to love myself. My dad taught me how to stand up for myself. And everybody I've ever ran into, friends or friends no more, I'm grateful for them for the lessons they've taught me, because I had a big, like, honestly, looking back at it, you could not be a bigger loser than me. I'm the biggest loser I know, because for the longest time, I tried to deny the stupid things I did in my past to validate where I am today. And no, I had to go through that stupid phase in order to be who I am today. And I own that now. For instance, I would consider myself a first generation Tongan clout chaser. Back in the day, I used to go by a stupid name by Tea Time, and I used to do these stupid YouTube videos. And me and my crew, and you know, being from where we were from, the valley, we kind of built so much clout around us that eventually it got bigger than us. Oh, you guys are those guys on YouTube. My good friend Henry, shout out to Henry Lealiki. He did this video, Tongan Girl, What's Your Name? And we used to go back and forth, me and him always competing. And eventually it got so bad to a point, I put on this persona that really got me into trouble a lot, because I would use that persona to portray something I wasn't. For instance, I would try to talk to every girl that hit me up and say, oh, you're so cute and this and that, not realizing they had brothers who would fucking kill me. But because I would lie to them and be like, oh, yeah, you know, it's only you, baby. I only want to be with you and nobody else. Then come to find out, while I'm talking to her behind her back with another girl, they're cousins, and I get fucked up. And I'm like, holy shit, was that even worth it? And then it gets to even situations where it's like, you know, where I would just be talking out of my ass, like just completely talking out my ass, because I wanted to impress people. And I'm you know, yeah, I know him and I know her. Yeah, I can do that. I can do this. And there was a lot of times I would, you know, I would get my ass whipped for just talking out of my ass. But one particular situation that I would say that straightened me out was I ran into a situation where I bit off more than I could chew. And basically, I had put myself in a predicament where I was messing around with a married woman. I had no idea that I was, and the only reason why I'm sharing this, why I'm being transparent about it, is because, you know, we're all on good terms and we have a good understanding now. And they know who they are if they ever get a chance to watch this. Shout out to you guys and Ofatu. But we didn't do too much. Well, we were messing around. We were talking on MySpace. She was married, failed to mention that to me. So when she came from Hawaii to Cali, here we are at a Tongan function, hanging out, this and that. And at that time, nobody really had camera phones like today, how most people would record and take pictures and stuff. But that didn't stop anything. Somebody took a picture, posted it on MySpace, got back to the husband, and this dude gets on MySpace talking about, I'm going to kill you when I find you. Do you know we have 2 kids and we have a home? And I'm like, holy fuck. I am only 19. This man is a grown ass man, and he has a 401k and he has guns. I didn't sign up for this shit. And that's what I get, because at that time I wanted to be big man on campus. I wanted to be the fucking, the tough guy and all that. That when this guy, showed me what he was willing to put on the line to save his marriage and his life, I understood right then and there, I'm not that far along. I don't know what that guy's gone through. So I need to stop this shit, and I need to back and really evaluate what the fuck I'm doing with my life. And I thought I was a black guy. I thought I was a white guy. I thought I was a Mexican guy. I thought it was all these things until I realized I'm not shit. I am not anything. I don't have a job. I don't have a car. I don't have a bank account. I don't have shit to my name, but I'm out here running the streets like, oh yeah, I got it all and shit. And when I really had that breakdown, and I told my mom, like, man, I really need to get my shit together, Mom. I don't know if I need to go to therapy or if I need to go into some institution, but I don't know who I am anymore. I've been putting on this facade for a long time that I really need to get my shit together, because I'm going to be 30 years old living with you, not knowing what to do with my life. Yeah. And she just told me straight up, I think it's time that I tell you about your dad. And from that, like when I tell you, like, it all came full circle, it only took just me meeting my dad to realize, man, I didn't have to do none of that shit. I didn't have to clout chase. I didn't have to impress people. I didn't have to do anything but the things that I wanted to make me happy. I went through a nerd phase. I went through a cholo phase. I went through a gangster phase. I went through an emo phase. I went through every phase that any normal kid goes through as a teenager. But when I got out of high school, I couldn't fucking figure out who I really was. And while my friends are all growing up, getting their life together, here I am just still doing the same shit I was doing in high school. And that self-identity is really critical, because if you don't discover who you are by the time you get out of high school, you could be, and no, all joking aside, you could be looking down the barrel of a gun because of the confusion and the severity of a self-identity crisis. Who am I really, And that's why I gave thanks to God before I spoke on this, was because at any point in time, I could have done that to myself. You know what I'm saying? Because of how disgusted and how unsatisfied, how I wasn't satisfied with myself, that it only took me to meet my father to realize, man, like, there was nothing wrong with being myself the whole time. I don't know why the fuck I did this, but I'm just glad to be alive, and just tell other kids and warn them, hey, just be yourself, man. Just, there's nothing wrong with you. So that's where I'm at in life now. Self-identity is truly important, and we have to know who we are in order to get somewhere in life.
Yeah. Thanks, Doug. Thanks, Doug. I really appreciate you sharing that, man. That was some real shit right there. And no, that's why I always tell a lot of people, like self-identity is so important, because in order to, like, the journey of life, one thing everybody knows about life is gonna be fucking hard. Life, it's a negative world out there. There's a lot of bad people out there. There's a lot of negative influences out there. There's a lot of shit out there in the world that is gonna put you down and give you so much pain. So you have to be really, really know yourself. So that way, I think one of my favorite quotes, I think it's like, if you never conquer the enemy within, then the enemy outside can never hurt you. Oh,
that's dope.
That's
dope shit.
That's one of my favorite quotes. Like, if you don't conquer yourself first, the world is gonna conquer the fuck out of you.
Yeah.
The world is gonna hurt you. The world, like I said, there's people out there that don't care about you. There's a lot of things out there. You have to know yourself first and conquer yourself, so that way you know what's best for you, so you can move on forward with your life. And one thing I do, my own personal experience for myself is, like, I remember growing up, right? Grow up in as a Tongan, and I used to hang out with all my cousins, right? And my cousins, and like, shout out, I love my cousins. But I know they used to just drink. We never, they used to fight Kava. They used to drink, party, and for me, like I told you before, I came from Tonga. I came here to make something of my life. I came here to make a difference. I saw the struggle what I saw when I growing up in Tonga. So I came here like I wanted to come here and excel and do something with my life. And I wasn't really confident growing up with myself. I still had my issues, insecurities as a guy, but I just know hanging around all these, hanging around with these people, what they were doing in their life. I just felt within myself that I was like, I knew within myself it's not what I wanted to do, but because I didn't know myself, I wasn't confident who I am. I just try to be like them, you know. Like you said, you went through the different phases: the emo phase, the hood phase, the chino phase. So I went to the same. I went to the Kava phase. I went to the party. I went to the party. Phase, the club phase. You know. I was just like because I was just trying to, like you said, like I was trying to be like everybody else because I didn't know who I am, and I wasn't confident who I am. But even though I was doing all these things, I knew for myself, like I like my deep in my soul, I knew that's not what I wanted to be. That's not what I should be, right? But I just never had the confidence to kind of work on that person. And I see it, man. I see it all the time. Like, you know, I know people personally, like they go out there in club and fight Kava and drink, but they don't really want to do that.
Yeah,
they don't.
Man,
they don't. You know, but because that's how their family is, and that's the environment they grow up. They just, and of course there's no support from their household to embrace somebody that's gonna be different. Right, man. They're just constantly living in a life that they're not happy with, right? But luckily for me, like I said, you know, I finally grew up and I met certain people that gave me that support I needed to kind of start working, you know, kind of looking within myself and say, okay, what do I really want to do? Who am I as a Polynesian? Who am I as a man? What do I want for my life? And once I figured out myself, it was easy for me. Like I said, once I conquered myself, it was easy for me to say no. Hey, I don't want to do that anymore, guys. I want to.
And it's weird that one day it'll be like, wait, what, bro? You don't sound like yourself.
Yeah,
come on, man. Just come on.
Yeah,
and it's like, no, I don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah, I don't want to do it anymore. But because like that's not who I am. But I was, like I said, like I was just trying to fit in like everybody else. But I think that's one of my favorite quotes. But you know, somebody said, you know, God didn't create you to be like everybody else. God created you to stand out.
There it is.
And to be yourself. And that's why I feel like stuff like that is so important. I know a lot of Polynesians are very intellectual, smart, articulate.
Yes, our people are, man.
I mean, so talented, you know, but they just try to act like everybody else. And when I say that, I don't mean like everybody else is like lower than who I am. No, I'm just like I said. I'm not better than anybody. I'm not better than everybody that's drinking or whatnot. No, I'm just, like I said, I just want something. That's not who I am. I want to be true to myself, and I don't think I'm just because of what I want for my life. It makes me better than you. That's not my place to judge.
Shit, man.
All right.
Yeah, so, that reminds me of a good story, if you don't mind. But so you know, as well as I coach football out here, and there was a camp I went to one time, and this Tongan boy, he came from I think he came from Utah. But you know, everybody's doing the camp. They're doing drills, and you know, they're doing one-on-one drills, O-line, D-line. The Tongan kid, you know, he did pretty good in his rep, and he just gets straight up and he stands up. I was like, "You're looking at the best defensive lineman right now," and I looked and I thought to myself, "That's pretty big-headed of him to say." But I do appreciate that he's confident within himself to say that. Yeah, there was nothing wrong with what he said.
Yeah, exactly.
He believes in his ability. However, I know many people who from the same neighborhood that I come from would be like, "Oh man, you cocky as fuck." So what? What? Let him speak. He's working his ass off.
Yeah, exactly. So, I just realized like that's something I just want to put out there. Like I don't feel like I'm better than anybody, but I just, like I said, for me, I just want to be myself, you know. And the only person that I want to be better is the person I was yesterday, is myself.
That's it.
And and that's something I always advise everybody out there, because make sure you can find yourself, you know, who you are, because at the end of the day, like your life, the only person that's going to live your life and the things that are going to happen to you, the only person that's going to deal with it is you.
Yeah.
So if you try to be like somebody else, you're not, you know, try to portray this lifestyle. The thing is, when life happens to you, you have to deal with it.
Yeah.
You know, you have to take responsibility. So just make sure, for me, like I said, like one thing I do realize is it's easier for me to take responsibility for things I do because it's my decision, something I wanted to do, than taking responsibility for something that I didn't really want to do.
Oh my God! You should say that louder for the guys out here just having sex with women and having kids and don't want to take responsibility. Those who choose not to.
Yeah, exactly. So, but and I know, and also, I mean, I'm not trying to take the responsibility away from those guys, but a lot of guys out there just sleeping because that's what everybody else is doing.
Exactly, it's the thing to do. Like,
it's
what
the thing
the
to
hell?
do. And then that's why like you can't take responsibility for like when you try to be somebody else and just try to do what everybody else is doing, you're not gonna take responsibility for it. But when you know who you are as a man, you're confident with yourself. And when I make a decision, if it works, great. If it doesn't work, I'm gonna own up to it because it's my decision.
That's it.
That's my decision. It's not somebody else's decision. And that's why I feel like until people really find out who they are and figure out the type of person they want to be and confident who they are, it'd be easier for them to take responsibility for the decisions. But if people out there just doing what they're doing, trying to be somebody else, and then something bad happens, most people always take the path of least resistance, which is avoid any response. Because a real man,
confrontation.
Yeah, exactly. A real man, we take care of business. That's if you're a real man, you take care of business, whatever, because it's your decision. But if you're not fully developed to be confident as a man, then like I said, we always like avoid responsibility. Yeah. So, man, that was cool, man. Thank you for sharing that, Togo. That was
anytime, man.
Man, we're on fire right now, man. We're talking about something.
Hey, I love it, man. We vibing right now. So dope.
we're putting, we're going deep waters today.
Hey, man, next time if I ever get a chance to come back on, I would like to share a comment with you of Kava. So
I know. No, it's funny when I before COVID, when I first started, the podcast, I would do it live. I would invite people to the crib, and we would shoot it, and then like I'll have a Kava bowl. So maybe so when COVID opens up and we can everything.
Man.
I would definitely like to link up and we do it live in the room and we just have a Kava bowl.
That's dope. I'm down for it, bro. I'm down for it.
For sure. So I think thanks for sharing your life. We shed light on a lot of topics out there for everybody that's watching. I know we talked about a lot of real deep topics, so I would love to hear your thoughts and ideas. Drop some comments below. I would love to hear that feedback, the feedback from everybody. But I do want to dive into. We have some good topics to talk about today on this podcast. So the first topic we're going to talk about is this phenomenon that we saw on TikTok called super straight.
Oh shit! Fuck, let's just go.
Let's just go right into it. So I don't know if you guys are on TikTok, you're probably already aware of this because this is trending on TikTok. If you're not on TikTok, so there's one guy. He went on TikTok and he identified his sexual orientation as super straight. And the reason why the reason why he said that because he said that he likes women. He's a guy, so he likes women who are biological women. He doesn't want to date a woman that used to be a man, like that was a transgender. He doesn't want to date a transgender woman. He doesn't want to date. He wants to date women that were born women, and that's his preference, right? And the reason why he wanted to say that because he said in today's culture, if you say that you don't want to date a trans woman, then you're homophobic. Okay.
All
right. And the reason why he wanted to create that new sexual orientation, he was like, look, I'm not homophobic. I respect, I love and I respect transgenders and people with all different orientations, but this is what I prefer. Yeah. And this is what I'm straight and I'm super straight.
Oh my God.
Right.
Oh man.
And for me, it was sad for him to even take it that far. Yeah. To justify his decisions, his choice of who he prefers to have intimate relationship with, because we live in a society today like we no longer can't disagree to agree to disagree no more.
Agree to disagree, man.
We can we live in a society that if you don't agree with somebody else's opinion or perspective, you're automatically like an enemy. Like you're automatically, if you don't agree with my opinion, you're disrespectful to me. Yeah, and that's
the sensitivity level is so high.
Yeah. And that's the culture we live in today. It's just like and the biggest example I always use is politics. Like nowadays, like if you say you're a Republic, like there's people out there in this world right now that they'll hate you just based off your political affiliation.
Yep.
They don't care who you are as an individual. Yeah. As soon as you say I'm a Democrat, I hate you. As soon as you say,
"Oh, you're blue," no,
I hate
from the left. I don't want to talk about this. Yeah. This conversation is over.
As soon as you say I'm a Republican or I'm a Trump supporter, I hate you.
Jeez,
you're the worst kind of people in this world, and it's sad to see now that we can no longer coexist with each other and just agree to disagree and have different opinions without trying to like. We are trying to like put hate and all these negative emotions that we try to project on people. And like I said, that's why that guy was like, I'm super straight. I'm not disrespecting the transgender community, the LGBTQ.
Yeah, that's his thing now. That's what we're doing these days.
Right. I don't hate you guys, but this is my preference. I just want to date women who were born biological women.
Oh, man. That's crazy.
So yeah, what's your thoughts on it, Doug? What's your thoughts?
Well, first and foremost, respectfully to both communities, whether you're super straight or LGBTQ, I believe plus. Well, I respect both sides because as ridiculous as super straight only came about because of a secret agenda against trans people. I don't know. I have no research and information behind it. All I know is if we can't allow them to be, why would you expect anybody to allow you guys to be? Because nowadays, I mean, it's just like I said earlier, the level of sensitivity is so high. You could cut the tension in the room with a knife, and all hell will break loose. You know what I'm saying? Because whether you voted this, you voted that, you said this, you said that, you support them, you support that. Nobody can have an opinion, or nobody can have a thing of their own anymore without somebody feeling offended. Now, what I would say is, in context of hearing that, this guy I'm super straight because I like biological women who were born that way, not coming from the opposite side. But hey, he's specifying he's not. It doesn't sound like he's downgrading or hurting anybody. Then okay, I would just like, hey, okay, if you're not hurting anybody, then that's what it should be. But if it's like, well, that makes you transphobic, you would have to explain, like, do you have evidence? Because then you go into this whole deep rabbit hole, and it's like, people don't want to go that far in. Like, look, can they just be happy? Can they be happy? If everybody's happy, that's what the focus should be, is that everybody is happy. If no one is happy, where the hell are we doing? What are we doing now? It's 2021, I mean, I can't really speak because I'm married. So if that doesn't make me straight, then what the hell am I now? You know what I'm saying?
Super married.
Tomorrow, we were just talking about it earlier. I'm super straight level 1. And eventually it's like, well, if you're not level 4, I can't fuck with you. And I'm like, what? Like, bro, I'm super straight. Yeah, but you're level 1. I only fuck with level 2 and up. Like, when it gets too complex, man, like, it's not fun being human anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'll be honest. Like, if I made a mistake of assuming this person is a woman or a trans woman, then it must have been that good that I couldn't tell. But it doesn't mean that I have anything against. It's just I couldn't tell. Has that happened to me before? Yes. I'm not saying I ran into any kind of situation sexually with a trans woman, but there have been issues where me and my wife, with her friends, we've been to gay clubs, and I ran into situations where, I had no idea that was a trans woman, but now that I know, nice to meet you, and by all means, that's cool. But it's not this thing where, if he's trans or she's trans, they should know I'm super straight. I want to put that out there. That is such a fucking weird situation. Why does this have to be a conversation? If you're super straight and that person is a trans person, just as long as you guys are happy, I support both of you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's weird. It's fucking weird.
The problem with for me, the problem is like when people are trying to like force their views on me. So look. I like you said, it's all about love. I'm a big advocate for love and understanding.
Yes.
We can still love each other as human beings. We can come to understand each other, but we can still have different point of views.
Yes.
Right? But even though, like I have my point of view, but I will have healthy conversations with people. I'm never going to force my opinion and my point of view upon somebody else, right? Because that's the problem with nowadays. I feel like I'm gonna say there are some LGBTQ members out there. They're trying to force their views. We should all date transgender women.
Oh, man,
like look,
that's opinion now. I mean,
yeah. Like no, like I don't have to do anything I don't want to do.
Yeah.
Right.
Like it's like you're going back to what you say, man. Like if we can't have a conversation as real as it's going to get, if we're not focusing on the fact that I want understanding and you should have an understanding,
exactly,
we're never going to grow. The community is never going to grow. And whether it's 2021 or it's going to be 2031, if we're still having this conversation 10 years from now, this shows how much as a community we're really growing, guys. Good job, everybody.
Yeah. Like I said, there's and like I think you said it also, like when nowadays when anybody disagrees with you or has a different opinion of you, everybody thinks that there's an agenda. No, there's no agenda.
There's no conspiracy.
There's no agenda. I'm not trying to hide any ulterior motives or hate. No, like
it's all shit, man.
It's like if I don't like if I don't like a banana, I don't hate the banana.
Bro, that's what. Look, could you imagine being in a situation where it's like, why didn't you want to get a lap dance from me? He's like, I'm super straight. Oh, what? You're transphobic? What? My titties aren't good enough for? Whoa, what? I just came to get a lap dance. What the fuck is going on? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, hey, by all means, if like it has to, the focus has to be if we're happy and we're loved, and that's what it is. So if you're happy being this way and you're happy being that way, by all means, everyone is happy. But if you're happy and they're not happy, something's wrong. Something is absolutely wrong.
Like you're married, right? You married?
Yes, I'm happily married.
Yeah. What's your ethnicity of your wife?
She doesn't claim Tongan. She claims she's La Paja. So she is Tongan. My wife is Tongan, but she specifically needs me to always make sure tell people I'm from La Paja. I'm like, okay, she's from La Paja. Okay.
Yeah, that's like if you marry your La Paja. Your La Paja, your La Paja Tongan wife. That's like us. Like that's like women Samoan. Oh, you don't like Samoans? No, like Samoans are women are good enough.
Where did that come from? What the hell?
No, this is my preference. I never said that. This is what I love. This is with my heart. Man. She got my heart,
Yeah, we know that too well, too, though. That's the crazy thing. Oh man, it's that's the world we live in, and I feel like because of that, now people are so sensitive now. That's why I feel like today we're more divided than ever. Yeah, we're more divided than ever. Like I told you, I think I mentioned the podcast. Hate and criticism only divides people. Like love, understanding, and brings us together. And I feel like that's what's happening. And I just want to put out there, everybody, I am super straight. Super Saiyan 3 straight. Super straight 3. He's just trying to attain the ultimate form.
If you guys watch Dragon Ball Z, you already know what's up.
Oh my God.
I'm a Super Saiyan level 3, man. Super Saiyan level 3, super straight.
You're gonna start carrying a cart around. Excuse me, sir. I'm super straight 3.
I'm constantly evolving.
That's what we should do as a community: is evolve in our understanding.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's okay to disagree with somebody. Agree or disagree, and like I said, we shouldn't. We've got to a point now that we're just judging people's character based on their opinion, right? If you're, whatever, if you judge people based on political parties, sexual orientations, we're just diminishing people's worth and value based on their opinion instead of getting to know individuals, right? Because some of my best friends I have today are people that I don't even agree with a lot of things we talk about.
That's so crazy that you bring that up. I remember I was working a job about 4 years ago. It was a telemarketing. I was answering phone calls, but me and this girl started at the same time. And I remember specifically, like our manager was just like really adamant about hitting our numbers. So I'm hitting my numbers. The only thing is like he was he was more concerned about the numbers we're hitting have to be consistent. So her numbers aren't consistent. My numbers are consistent. The one time my numbers weren't consistent, man, I get a warning. The whole time she started there, she didn't get no warnings. The thing that pissed me off was she was definitely attractive. What I was saying is you're playing the that female card where it's like because she's attractive and you have a liking to her, you'll treat me this way versus her. And I couldn't really say anything about it, but I mean that's just where it is. It's like if people please you, if people do the things you like to do, then you'll listen more to that side than this side. And it's not only not fair, but I mean, I guess that's just where we're at as a society now. It's like, oh, well, I don't like what you said because you're ugly and that person is cute, so I'm going to listen to them. Or I can't listen to what you said because your opinion is opposite from mine. I honestly feel bad for the environment my kids are about to grow up in because I don't know how to coach them through this. Like, I'm still trying to figure it out with me and my own family. Like, it's weird, man.
Yeah, I don't. I think I don't. For me, I don't think there's a way to coach. You just got to coach people to be confident in who they are and stand up to their beliefs. Because I see this all the time with the cancel culture nowadays. I see a lot of great people now getting canceled for no apparent reason.
That's it. Like it's a 10-year-old tweet, but because of today's climate, it's like, well, that offends me today. What the hell? Like I had a lack of understanding 10 years ago.
I know people do change, especially if the person was like 10 years ago he was like a teenager, or 10 years ago he was a kid.
That's mostly that's the common situation. That's always the common situation.
Yeah. So it's just that was I know that was pretty funny for everybody out there. If you haven't seen the video, go check it out. The Super Straight video. That dude is just trending right now.
Love to both sides. Love to both sides, man.
Yeah. So I can't wait. Next time I go on a date, they ask me, well, what do I like? I'm like, I'm super straight. Super straight level 3.
Just putting that out there before you continue.
And I'm like, and I'd be like, no, I'm just here now, but I can also evolve. I can also transform.
Oh shit!
It's all good. That was cool. That was pretty funny.
That was, man.
I do want to go into to mental health. I know that's one of the topics that you wanted to talk about and go dive into. I know that's also something I know within the Polynesian community. It's also never often not educated or discussed in our community. But as we know, like there's a lot of people out there going through mental health issues. So I think I was doing my research on mental health issues. I think like Polynesians, just if you look at the percentages, depending on the population, I think I was talking to I did a podcast with a girl. Her name was Tasha, and her name's Sasha Afoa. She said that we're like top 3 as far as like suicide rates. Just based on like the population and the percentages of how many people within our population is committing suicide. Even New Zealand, I did my own research. I know New Zealand, they have one of the highest rates of suicide as teenagers in New Zealand, in the world. And a lot, you know what? Also, a lot of people don't know this because when people say suicide, they always like associate it with females. They don't. People don't know like the men commit more suicide than women if you look at the numbers. And we live sometimes. I feel like sometimes in society that we never talk about what men go through because the masculine the masculinity, right? The toxic masculinity. Okay, men are strong. We don't go through shit, But in reality, there's a lot of men out there that's going through a lot of shit, a lot of struggle, a lot of mental health issues. But society never sheds the light on that. But they always, they always talk about what women are going through. But I'm not trying to downgrade what the women are going through. Where mental health and suicide is just as important. It doesn't matter what gender you are. I'm just saying is oftentimes when I do talk to people about suicide or mental health, they always feel like it's the females, but they don't realize there's a lot of males out there that's just going through the same thing. And I just want to put those numbers out there for everybody to listen to understand. But yeah, can you talk about mental health and what's your thoughts on that?
So this is definitely a close subject to my heart, only because I know to the Tongan people that you definitely not only are my people, but are a part of my heart. So in anything and everything I do, I know I always represent the Tongan people. So whether I make a mistake or I'm doing good, I always got to attribute to the fact that how does this make me and the community look? And in a lot of ways, if I see somebody in our community make it, I should congratulate them. That's now my understanding. Being at 32, uh, going through everything I've ever been through in my life, that's how we should function as a people now. If one is up, we're all up, rather than one is up. Well, we're still down here, so he needs to come down here. Um, and a lot of that is attributed to what was normalized to us when we were younger. I know, for instance, and this just goes back to growing up in different communities. I really came to appreciate my mental health because of my sharing with other communities, whether it was Black people, Hispanic people, Asian people, whoever I was involved with, because I grew up in a very multicultural, diverse community. And I was fortunate to every time I walked into a household, I noticed immediately how different, not only was it from my household, but from the last household I would go to. But I know that when my grandma and my grandpa came here, it was about 15 years after coming out of the segregation era. So civil rights. Martin Luther King and everybody had just fought for that. He gets assassinated 15 years after my grandma and my grandpa come in. So they're in the South. They feel the effects of that later.
Mhm.
They're still seeing places and sections in Texas where it was colored this and white that. In old towns, they lived in Euless eventually, and my grandma, because she was she was darker skinned, would face some of that scrutiny and that harsh racism at the time. There are some situations that I could highlight, but I don't want to speak on that. I want to still keep it on mental health. So when she saw how it was publicized that, you know, in movies, Black people are the gangsters, in the TV, that Black person was a kidnapper, or, Rodney King gets beat up. So the Watts riots happen in California. And that in turn affects the whole nation, that minority group is the problem. Those Black people are the problem. So my grandparents would always be like, stay away from Black people. And why I speak about this so confidently is that that's what they would always say. Dark skin is bad. Stay away from it. And I didn't realize that my grandma was dark skinned. So she's saying that about herself, not realizing she's taking herself out of the conversation, when in actuality, grandma, you're just as dark as these people that we're talking about. I
Yeah.
grew up later coming to understand that my light skin you know, isn't who I portray to be, or separate me from the next person. If anything, we're all still human beings. So why I'm highlighting this as mental health, if I wasn't careful and I grew up this way with that understanding without having my own experiences, I honestly could have been an addition to what's going on in today's society. And a lot of times, I'm not gonna lie, there are conversations I have with other Tongans where we do highlight ourselves more than others as far as other communities. Oh, we're better than them, we're better than this. And why that hurts me is because we can't say we're better until those people make it. And we're not making it because they're not making it, because they've been here longer than us. And for the fact that for us that we're going to take ourselves out of the situation is not realistic. And a lot of what we're dealing with today is what they're dealing with. So any problem that strays from the brown, the Black communities, it drips down to us.
Mhm.
Now, why we don't highlight it, why we don't speak on it, is because a lot of times when we get those jobs where we work with bye-byes and we think we're living in those neighborhoods, just because we're doing those living jobs does not mean that's where we are in income. That
Mhm.
does not mean that's where we are at in the middle, the low, and the high class. It just means we're able to work those jobs based on us being applicable to the job. And I noticed it through my mom. I noticed it through my grandma. I noticed it through my elders, that this is a big issue. We don't believe ourselves to be a minority, so we try to put ourselves into these classes with whether it's Palangi people or higher class society.
The thing is, we're not even a minority. We're like less than 1% of the population.
We're not even a speck. Like, the census just came out. I hope that when they do finalize the numbers, that we are a factor, that we no longer have to fill out Native, Pacific Islander, or Asian. You know what I'm saying? We actually have our own box. That's a far stretch, but I'm just saying. So the fact that every time I have these conversations with a lot of my peers or some of the younger folk that I work with, it's weird to hear them say, "Oh yeah, but Tongan people, we were navigators, we were kings, and we had empires. And though that may be true, why are we still struggling here? That's why I ask you this. I'm talking to the kids and I'm talking to my peers. It's like, no, we're not struggling. Okay, so what's your goal? I want to make it to the NFL. Where are you at now? I'm working here with you at that security job. And when are you going to make it to the NFL? As soon as they call me back. Okay, good. So you have no contingency. You don't have a plan B, nor do you have anything to fall back on. Your whole thing was tossed into the NFL. But I know that you're a great singer. You have a great knack for being on the mic, and you're just considering going to the NFL. And a lot of why that's normalized is because we see what they're dealing with, the Black community, the brown community, and think that we can't be a solution. And I'm not saying we're better than those communities, but if we actually wake up and say, hey, you know what? I don't need to sit here and deal with the same problems. I can actually be a solution. Whereas in a lot of times when, I'm dealing with the youth, I think one thing that I'm grateful for is when they ask me for my opinion, that they consider my opinion as valid. Hey, coach, do you think that do you think I should walk home? I don't want to get pulled over by the cops. The fact that a person of color would have to ask me that would mean, oh shit, he sees me in the same situation.
Yeah.
And now I have to have these conversations with my kids to understand, hey guys, we're living in a really hard society that you're going to have to understand your friends are Black, your friends are white, and there are certain situations going on, whether it be about privilege or non-privilege. You have to understand how to blend in each community, because right now, as a society, we do not have the answer. And a lot of the times when that doesn't happen, kids fall into gangs, kids fall into drugs, kids will fall into things that are normalized through music, what they see on TV, commercialized, advertised, social media-wise. We see these things, it's like, oh, that's what I want to do, but realistically, that's not what they should be doing. And the influence gets so strong and becomes a life of its own, to where when they don't get to obtain those things, the first thing they want to do is curl up in a ball, be depressed, have anxiety, and then worst case scenario, hurt themselves. And that's because when me, you, or whoever else is not out there trying to speak more life into the community, then, we start to dwindle in the numbers, and our statistics not only go down, but the suicide rate will always go up. And at times I don't want to sound like a conspiracy, but it just seems like we're in a system that is built to do that to us. So mental health, that's what I think about mental health.
No, it's funny. I do believe that. I do believe there's a system. There is a system. But that's but like I said, that's more opinion than factual. But
no, but I respect it. I respect it.
But I do believe I do believe. I mean, if you got to do your research, y'all. You got to do your research. I don't believe. I don't believe I don't believe in randomness. I don't believe in coincidence. I feel like
I'm with you.
I don't believe in that. Some people think, just the way the system is set up, the way school is set up, just randomly. No, there is. But you got to do your research on that. You got to do your research on that.
Please do the research. Please do it.
But one thing I do know, and you can just look at this. Ever since the history of time, people in power has always found a way to oppress. That's something, but that's all I'm going to say about that. People in power. If you can look at history, it's all out of history. People at the top have always found a way to oppress the people on the bottom.
Hey, me and you can talk about that over a bowl of Kava.
The second podcast, the second time, we can go into that topic, because that topic can go for hours. But that's something I do know. But that's why there's very few people in the bottom. They figure that shit out and figure out a way to get out of it. But people don't see that. But now, thanks for sharing that, man. That's something that I feel like mental health. It's it's funny when you mentioned you said that to some Polynesians out there, they always say, our ancestors were navigators with this and this and this and this, right? For me. I always say to people, but that's cool, but what are you doing now?
Yeah. What are we doing to continue
now?
the legacy?
What are we doing now? You ever heard that? You ever heard that one OG that used to be an athlete? Back in the day, back in the day, bro. I rushed 1,000 yards back in the day. I was all athlete. Back in the day, I was this and this and this. Like, but what did you make it? Are you playing in the NFL now?
That's kind of what we live in. Is like, what have you done for me lately? So
yeah, exactly. In the real world, they don't care what you did yesterday. They care like, what are you doing now? That's the world we live in today. And people get trapped with that mentality of, oh, our ancestors did this. Of course, our ancestors did what they had to do in their time, but this is our time. And what are we doing with our time? What are the impact that we're making with our people, with our generation, with our life? And you can live in the past, or we can create a future by doing the things we need to do now. And I, like you said, I feel like mental health is really, really, really important because we don't. A lot of times, like I said, I feel like as Polynesians, we're never taught how to deal with our emotions, like to build emotional intelligence. We're taught so many things. We're taught all the external things. How to act like a man, how to be tough. How to do this, how to do that. For both men and women. But I remember growing up, there was never conversation to figure out our emotions and talk about our emotions. If you do your research, everybody knows, like, every decision we make is from emotion. In life. That's if you read up on psychology, like, every decision we make is on emotions. So if you don't teach people how to control and tame and that emotion, and just always react to certain things, then that's why we go out there sometimes as people, and we make decisions that we should have made and doesn't have any kind of benefit for our future. So that's why I get people here on the podcast to talk about their stories. And the reason why I love about when you talk about your story and talk about the man you used to be, because I feel like sometimes in social media, because this generation, they thrive and live off social media. Sometimes for some people, social media is reality.
Yeah. Oh my God. They build it, and the personality becomes way too big, and then it's like, oh shit, it's a life of its own.
That's why I tell people all the time, like, social media there's only a very select few are in social media are authentic. But
because they're willing to be transparent. They have nothing to hide anymore.
Yeah. But I say like a high percentage, like I'm talking about 90% of people on social media, what they project and portray on social media is not really their life. Same. I don't know. So, when I see people, when I see somebody that posts a smiling picture, like, I'm happy.
Oh my God! The fact that you have to do that. God.
Oh, I'm like, oh man. I was like, damn. For me, I just damn. Whenever I see people post that, I know they're not. The fact that you have to prove to the world, or prove to everybody that you're happy. But anyways, I mean, that's the reality we live in. But that's what I was saying is, on social media, like, we see. That's why I love like people like you. Like you said, there's a lot of kids that you work with. They valid. They appreciate your opinion, and they see your opinion as a valid opinion. They take knowledge from you. And there's so many people out there that we see certain people on social media, but we don't see the type of person that they are. And I feel like as sometimes we're all trying to achieve this perfection state, this strong man or this strong woman, but we don't realize, like, everybody in this world is human, and we all have our issues. And then a lot of people, I feel like in this generation, a lot of people try to hide their issues, suppress their issues, and not really confronting it and dealing with it, especially when it comes from mental health. Because I've gone through my own mental health issues where I used to try to suppress it, I used to try to hide it. But I think you mentioned before, if you try to hide something or suppress something, it's like a ticking time bomb. You're just gonna build, and then finally explode one day. And based on my conversations with a lot of Polynesian people in general, they always say that mental health, and of course, a lot of times our culture has a big the way we are as Polynesians, like we mentioned before earlier. Some of the behaviors that we normalize in the Polynesian community, in our culture, in our family, it actually makes the mental health, people who go into mental health, makes the conditions a lot worse. Like decline. So if somebody is going through mental health issues, but you constantly belittling them, you're constantly physically disciplining them, you constantly never listen to what they feel, to feel like they're heard. It only adds to depression, right? or like we talk about men, men, I think you talk about you brought it up earlier. If a guy comes out and talks about his emotions, then immediately people would just say you're weak, you're a bitch, and just degrade you because you finally had the courage to open up, and you wonder why all these guys, are constantly holding on to these negative emotions, and for a lot of people, when you don't feel like when you don't find happiness at home, and you don't find happiness within yourself, what most people do is they find happiness anywhere.
Yeah, they'll look for it. Oh my God, they'll look for it in the worst places.
Yeah, in the worst places. Right? Whether it's drugs, whether it's gangs, whether it's alcohol, whether it's sex, right? And like I said, a lot of that's why we see all these things happen, because people are just not secure of who they are, and they're looking for that love and that understand, that compassion. They never saw it from home, right? So that's why I feel like mental health is definitely important, and I feel like it's education. We definitely need to educate, bring awareness to it. And that's why I really appreciate you coming on today and talking about your mental health issues, and bring up, good, and paint that real picture, the reality of it, right? Because sometimes most people won't be open to talk about how they really, really feel, because they don't feel safe for how people are going to respond to it if they do even bring it up.
Especially when you're around the boys. Like, one thing I just wanted to speak on real quick was, your boy is not gay if he tells a girl, no, I don't want to, I'm good. If obviously the girl may be pretty, she may be, this and that, but if the guy knows his self-worth, if the guy knows that, I'm built for more than this, she's way too high maintenance, and she's honestly not the person I'm. No, bro, you're gay for real, dog. You don't want to, man. Look how bad she is, though. Yeah, but what he's looking for is more. You're making it to be superficial, and that's one thing. I try to get more to our younger tokos is, you're not weak for knowing your worth. You're not weak.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If that's not who you want to be with, by all means. Hey, it was nice meeting you. I appreciate the date, but by all means, I don't think I'll see myself being with you after this. So you have a good one. And if they take offense to it, oh well. But at least at the end of the day, you knew your worth. And next thing you know, bro, so you called it off with her? You mind if I get at her? That just shows that boy shouldn't even be in your circle in the first place. Yeah. If he's going off of the looks, you need to reconsider your circle, bro.
Yeah. Yeah, and I feel like a lot of times, because we're not educated in our community when it comes to mental health, a lot of people don't know about it. And a lot of times, people are getting advice from the wrong people to deal about mental.
That's the number one case. That is the number one case I will give on my opinion. That is always the case. You're asking the wrong people, dude.
You're asking the wrong people. If you're going through some mental health issues and you're talking to somebody and they're totally disregarding what you're feeling, to tell you that doesn't exist, to tell you that you're just Tongan is like lao bisi. Oh, took a lao bisi.
Yeah.
Stop being stupid. That's
I'm not gonna ask my uncle for marital advice if he's constantly at the fight Kava and his wife is constantly at my auntie's house talking about, oh, Sione didn't come home last night. And then I'm gonna go over there, hey, Uncle Sione, do you think you could give me some advice about my no, hell no, man. I'm not gonna ask for advice.
I know. And that's why you have to get advice from people that understand what you're going through. Whether it's your own family, or even, like you said, even professional help outside the family.
Yes.
And a lot of people, I know as Polynesians, sometimes we want to be so strong that we feel like that it's weak to go ask for help. And the thing is, you're not weak to ask for help. That's courage for you to know that there's an issue with me. Taking responsibility. We just talked about it before. Taking responsibility. That's all. It's courageous for you to know, okay, there is a problem within me. I'm going to do a lot of shit right now. And you know what? I got to go get help for myself and take care of myself. And that takes a lot of courage for a lot of people to do. Yeah, so that's what I put out there. It's not weak to take care of yourself.
Nope.
And for me, I know we were talking about like why our generation, or why Polynesians never, why like we're so behind it compared to other cultures, right? We talked about before. I feel like also it's because there's a lot of men and women right now. They haven't been educated. They haven't gone through the healing journey. They haven't dealt with their skeletons that they've been suppressing their whole life within themselves. So we have a lot of we have a lot of broken men and women raising kids. All right.
Oh, man, that's
And
the truth.
and a lot of times, you know, if you're a broken man and a broken woman, you're gonna raise that broken love and give that broken love to your
That's
kids.
so good. That's so good, man. And it becomes a generation of
Yeah,
just
exactly.
broken.
Become a cycle,
Jeez.
right? Because you
Oh.
have mental health issues that you've never dealt with, right? Of course, what happens? You're gonna project that to your kids.
Fuck,
You know?
it's so crazy that you say that because that's one thing that was like growing up in my family. The men, it was so normalized.
Yeah.
I used to talk to her back in the day before I met your auntie, and I was the man back then. So it's always about how many women you can be with, and to me at that time that's the coolest thing I'm hearing. Like, fuck, well, all right, that's what I want to do when I get older, and I really understand that shit. So when you finally realize, man, my uncle was a fucking loser.
Yeah.
Like, why was he thinking that was okay to womanize and sleep around and have all these half kids? No offense or knock towards anybody who's going through that, but I come from that generation where that's just fucking. Yeah, hey, Toko, Shilmai, when you go out there, it's about, how you talk to her, huh? And then you forgetting this motherfucker talked to two sisters.
Yeah.
And like, why would I want to take advice from this guy? In his head, obviously, he thinks this is a normal thing to be doing. But really what you're doing is you're destroying our community by talking to this sister, that sister, and then telling the son in turn, son, when I was your age, I lost my virginity when I was 12. What?
Yeah.
What the fuck is that about? What are you talking about?
Yeah.
But I come from that. I'm not talking about anybody specifically.
Yeah.
I've heard these conversations from my own ears.
A lot of times I've seen like one thing I've seen, right? Sometimes I'll see men like beat the shit out of their wife or beat the shit out of their kids. That's and then they're just like, this is my dad. He's just being a man. Or this is,
No.
That is something wrong with that dude. That dude is fucked. That there's something going on with him mentally.
But it's real though. It's
real.
Exactly.
And I've seen this happen so many times where I'll see a guy beat the shit out of his wife. I'll see a father beat the shit out of his kids, and then the community be like, he's just being a tough man.
Bro,
he's being a tough dad.
I saw my uncle, like my mom's sister's husband. This motherfucker punched my cousin in the face, full on in the face. My cousin was no older than 11 years old. Punched my cousin in the face and told him, "Get up, bitch." And since then, I always thought not only was it normal, but it never sat right with me till I finally got older and realized whatever my uncle was dealing with internally, he projected that onto his son.
Externally,
thinking that his son was a grown-ass man. Don't get me wrong, my cousin was 6'2", about 200 pounds at the time. We're in middle school. But I'm saying, even though he has the build, he's not a man up here.
Yeah, exactly.
So my cousin's getting knocked the fuck out on the front lawn, and I'm thinking to myself, what the fuck do I do? And my uncle's just, get the fuck up, bitch. That's right. Be a man and walk that shit off. Who walks shit off after getting knocked out with no context? Why did he get knocked out? Because he didn't listen to you fast enough?
And that's what I'm saying is we're all there's a lot of people with fucking mental health issues.
Yeah, I'm not mad at my uncle. I understand now that he was dealing with something.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying is because we don't educate mental health, we don't talk about mental health. Why mental health? Because it's a taboo in the Polynesian community. That's why all these fucked up situations that we see is constantly getting normalized and justified in our community, and that's why this shit there's no changes, right? That's why there's no changes happening. People don't talk about it, and people are just like, this is how we are. That's just how we are. I hear this shit all the time. That's just how we are. That's just how we are.
Don't worry, it's the Polynesian in him. It's the Tongan in him. Like,
man,
what the fuck?
Get the fuck out of here.
Y'all just got finished fighting outside the Kalapu because he slept with your wife, and then you guys come in for another cup. What the fuck is going on?
Because one thing I do know is, saying, if this is what I always tell people, if you want to normalize that shit, if you want to normalize it, you have to be okay with that shit happening to you. That's all I'm gonna say. If you're okay, that's whatever that person did. If you're okay with that person doing it to you, hey, by all means. But one thing I do know, most people that are doing that shit, they will never want that they happen to if you do it to them, they're not cool with it. But they do it to other
Bro.
people, they'll be cool with it.
The same cousin who got knocked out by my uncle told me when he told me he didn't want to do football no more, it scared the fuck out of me. It shocked me because I knew what it meant to my family, that football was the only way out. And that's what we believed. We all believed that sports is the only way out. But when my cousin had the courage, he had the heart to look me in my eyes like, cuz I don't think I want to do football anymore. I not only looked at him with fear in my heart because I knew what it meant that if his father found out, but it was the bravest thing I saw at the time because it's the first thing I never heard anything like that.
Yeah.
What the hell? Like an islander saying they don't want to do football? Are you broken? What the fuck is wrong with you? You know what I'm saying? But like at that time, I wish if I had the understanding I do now, I would have been like, bro, fuck, that's right. I support you. Whatever you want to do, man. But at that time, I was coward. I was a coward. I mean, it's like, you can't tell your dad, man. What the fuck are we gonna do? Because you're the meal ticket. You're supposed to go D1 so we all can move up too. That's what they're all counting on you for, right? But he never asked for that life. My cousin never asked for that. He never asked for the attention. He never asked for the responsibility. All he wanted to do was graduate, go to college, and join the culinary arts. But yeah, man, this fuck.
Yeah, and I love how you brought up like what you just shared right now. One thing I do see a lot of Polynesians do is they'll put the burden of the family, of the success of the family on the kids. Oh, man. Right? Even though, like I said, even though they're not doing it, they're not taking any of the responsibility to change the situation, especially, but they'll put the burden on their kids and expect the kids to be the one to take the family out the struggle. No, why is the family struggling now? It's because of your decisions. You know what I'm saying? And I see this all the time where like they'll put all this pressure on this one kid or the kids. Hey, you guys have to, the parents too, right? And the parents are like, hey, you guys are the ones like, no, what have you been doing your whole life? And why your family is the way it's at right now? And I feel like it's unfair for you to put all the responsibility on the kids. And if the kids don't make it, then you're going to blame the kids and put the pressure on them. And that's why I feel like sometimes a lot of these, that's why we're our kids, man. That's why I feel like so many of these kids right now are going through mental health issues. They're not getting the help they need. They're not getting the support, the emotional support and love they need. And then we're just seeing a generation of broken people starting broken families. And then this shit it's just a cycle that keeps going. So we definitely got everybody out there that's watching this right now. Like, I really, really hope you guys start taking care of your mental health.
Please
and
do.
I remember that's one of the things I was thinking about, when I was going through my own mental health issues for myself. I realized myself, look, if I don't take care of this like emotions I'm feeling, this anger, this anxiety I'm feeling, I knew for myself that I was gonna, if I have kids one day, I'm gonna project it on my kids. I never want to do that from my child because I know what that feels like. So everybody out there, we gotta do better, y'all. Like, we really have to do better. Thank you for sharing that. I do want to kind of transition into, I know you were talking about the knowing what's going, make sure we know what's going on back home in the islands in Tongan. Yeah. Can you talk about that and you can dive into that? Dive into that topic.
So why I wanted to highlight Tonga, specifically Tonga, right? Shout out to all the other islands, whether it be Polynesia, Micronesia, or Melanesia, Pacific Islands in general. Mm-hmm. I have love for all our islanders, but more specifically the island of Tonga, to the Kakai Tonga that's listening or watching this right now. It's not only important that we know why what's going on back home, but if we really and truly call ourselves Tongan, if we acknowledge that we are Tongan, it's not that we need to go back and help in any way, because obviously our life is ongoing here. So the most that we can do is probably send something back or go and visit, but more importantly, at least acknowledge what's going on at home. Because I'm not saying that there's nothing we can't do. What I'm saying is that if we keep up to whether we're reading the Taimi Tonga or looking online, but from time to time, if we're growing away from the nation, can we really truly call ourselves Tongan? I know and especially in my early ages, I was ashamed to be Tongan. A lot of times when people would ask me, "What are you?" I would deflect the question because being Tongan wasn't well known growing up. So it's either, oh, are you Samoan or are you Hawaiian? Yeah, I would go with the latter. I'm like, yeah, that's what I am. But a lot of why that was because it goes back to the identity thing. I had no knowledge of what it meant to really be Tongan. And what I mean to not only know what's going on with Tonga, but to know what Tonga is, know who is in Tonga, who runs Tonga. Tonga is a monarchy, it's run by parliament. Tonga has the king and the queen, and he does have advisors who are important figures in Tonga, our own history, even just the indigenous history of Tonga, right? All that still matters today because to be here in America and say I'm Tongan is one thing. To be here in America and be Tongan with no knowledge of what Tonga is to actually be, even that much closer of a clout chaser. And I say that from experience because I'm now 32 and everything I'm learning about Tonga now is by way of, not only just social media, by people back home posting things, but, Google, YouTube, books, words passed down from our elders. And you come to the realization that, you look back as far as Tonga to where even though we have a king or queen, you start to realize the knowledge you're gaining here in America, you can also apply back home. Before we had a king and queen, what was civilization like back in Tonga? Were we a primitive people? Were we a spiritual people? Were we a savage people of savagery? Or, what are some things I should be looking into? Then you get into things looking into like, well, what were we pre-Christianity? And then you start to ask yourself, pre-Christianity, weren't we always Christians? And it's like, whoa, I never thought about that. Then you start to look into different Tuitongas and the lineages that go so far back. You start to tap into things of knowledge like Tangaloa and his kids to when Ahoetu became the first Tuitonga. And you start to realize, oh, we actually have history as Tongans. It's not just a statement when I say I'm Tongan or Mate Maa Tonga or I'm Loto Maa Whana. There's weight behind those words when you say that shit. So when you're out here in these streets talking about, oh yeah, I'm Tongan cuz or I'm Tonga this, realize that there's meaning behind that. You're not just walking with a false sense of pride. There is actual legacy behind this. And to think that if we come here with not acknowledging those who fell before us is to do a disservice to our own people. Why I say this is I was inspired by leaders out here, people like Cesar Chavez, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, other leaders in other communities, Sitting Bull, Geronimo, and the Native American community, even in the Asian community, Bruce Lee. Like we don't really have those factors or those leaders in our own community. So it's important when I'm on the Will Nakuzi podcast. It's important that when you follow me, that I acknowledge that because there's not a lot of us Tongan faces out there that are putting a narrative behind the history now. And why that's important is because now we are able to dictate and make our own history. So when I say figure out what's going on back home, I don't say that to, go do something about what's going on back home. I'm saying understand where we started so we know where we're going. Does that make sense?
Yeah, man. That definitely makes sense because I feel like knowing our history and knowing those influential figures, especially as a young child, right, has a really big impact in our psychology as far as confidence and our worth as individuals. I know we were talking about like the conspiracy theory of systems, of the oppression.
Oh, here we go. I'm ready, Toko. I'm ready. Let's go. I'm with you.
So I, for me, because the one thing I saw, I did some research on, like we talk about colonialism, right? Colonialism is when white people.
You're speaking my language. Toko. Let's go there.
So this is why I feel like I love you brought this up, but why it's so important to teach our kids in history. So colonialism, is when white people came and they took over different countries and and injected their culture and their dominance into different, of course, in all around the world. You saw it. They went out there.
Let's go, bro. Say that shit.
Colonize it, right? So
yeah.
And we talked about before, the people on top will always find a way to oppression, right? And I think I forgot who said it, but they said the best way to oppress people, take away their education and their history.
Let's go, bro. That's
all right.
You speaking my language stuff. I'm on that shit. Let's go.
So the thing is, if you ever see it, especially in America, like if you see like, the history that we learn in America. I remember when I grew up when I went to high school in America, the only history that we learn about is white history, white figures, white people, right? So what happens is, like, as a kid, if all you learn is the dominance and if all you learn about the greatness of white people, you start to like feel like that you're not good enough like this white people.
Oh my God, bro. That's
right?
What the fuck I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's why people like me and a generation coming up will have self-identity issues.
Yeah. Right. So and that's why, like, that's why, like, you see it all the time. Like, I remember this. Like, I remember that when I came to America, I always felt like I was never good enough with the white kids growing up as a kid. I remember that, but I didn't understand where that came from. Right. Like, I just, we see this all the time with I know I had a conversation with, like this. Like, this is a perfect example you guys can all relate to. Whenever somebody in the Polynesian community does something like outside the norm, like, go to college, educated, articulate, right? Who do we always associate those traits to? Being like
Palangi,
what? Palangi, right?
Shit, man.
Right? It's funny. I see this all the time. When I meet I see this with a lot of families where if one of their kids is very articulate, very smart, very intelligent, has a PhD, the first response to a lot of people, you want to be Palangi. So we
can't just be Tongan. We can't just be an
educated Tongan. We can't just be an intellectual Tongan.
Bro, come
we can't
on.
just be a smart Tongan. We can't just be a Tongan with a PhD.
For real.
Why are we comparing his success to white people? It's because, like you said, because that's what we've been taught, and because we don't know our history, and the history that we know is white history. We know more about white history than our own history.
Woo! Hey, bro, you having a dangerous ass conversation, and I love it. No, honestly, right. I love it because that's the worst problem I had with myself is I didn't know where I came from and what we were about. And the crazy thing is, we are the smallest nation in the South Pacific Island, and yet we still have so much rich history. And whether our other brothers and sisters decide to learn that one day, this is why I speak on it, is because there's nothing wrong with it. You can be smart, you can articulate yourself and still be Tongan, regardless what others say, whether they be in our community or other communities. There is nothing wrong with it because they're doing it in the Black community. They're doing it in the Hispanic community.
All communities.
So we are not alone when we're going through this shit, because when I see that, it hurts me so bad, because it's like, do you not know who the fuck our king is? Motherfucker, he is sitting on that table with the United Nations when he goes and speaks. Nobody speaks for him. Ain't nobody gonna fucking translate his words. When it comes from him, it comes from him. And everybody down that picks that shit up, it came from a Tongan man. So for anybody to tell me, that Tongan man picked that up from a white man, fuck you. You know what I'm saying? Straight up, because whether you take that as disrespect or offensive, fine, and take it for what it is. But my people are not second rate to nobody.
Yeah.
I believe that shit. So, man, bro, thank you for that. I appreciate you saying that.
No, that's I see it all the time where it's sad where we can never be great as Polynesians because we always want to compare it to the white person. We can't just be a great Polynesian. And if anybody like when people always talk to me, like sometimes I'll meet Polynesians like, why are you so articulate? Why am I fit Palangi? No, man. Yep. No, I'm not trying to be anything else. This is who I am.
Oh, my bad. Here, let me make you comfortable. Oh, what's up, fool? You good? You good, homie? You good? Okay, cool. Yeah. Or, fool. That's right, dog. Yeah, you're right. That's what's up.
Yeah,
Like, what the fuck?
No. This is my choice. It has nothing to do with being anything else than being me. I'm 100% Polynesian Tongan, just like you. I grew up in Tonga, just like you.
Say that shit.
But the thing is, like I said, I also understand the what people have been taught, and because we don't know our history, and because people have been taught the white history, and like that's why I love why you brought this up, because I feel like it's so important for people to do their research and know who you are and know your history, right? Because I feel like that history and your like when it comes to ancestry of your family, the bloodline, that's a part of you, and I see this all the time. It's so sad. That's why I feel like that's I see.
Like, so my wife put me on game, and I always say the village wrong, and I don't want to disrespect any of my fellow Tongans. but the Ha'amonga in New Toa is single-handedly one of the most confusing pieces of artifact or monument in the world. Because they can't carbon date it, but they know it's older than the Bible. But I would have never known that if somebody didn't do that proper research. So meaning that whatever that some say was a monument built to the king, or that's what he sat on. But the crazy thing about it is, if we didn't have the tools, if we didn't have the technology, if we were primitive, savage people, how the fuck did we know? How did we know how to build that? And then a lot of people speculate, it's used for the time of the day. It's used for things that we measure stuff with. Either way, I don't know, but I know our ancestors were onto something. So for me to downplay us like, no, we don't say too much.
Is your camera on?
Yeah, I believe so.
I don't know. I don't see you.
Let me see. Oh, shoot, it's 10%. Oh, man. Okay, so my battery's at 10%. My bad. That's
you want to charge it? You have a charger? You can charge it?
Yeah, I'm going to get a charger. Mama, can you bring me the charger for the iPad, please? All right. But as I was saying, that piece of architecture is so important because we built that with the understanding that we had. And whether we were navigating it to align with the stars and how we travel, either way, I may not know the full truth behind it, but we built it. And I have pride in that. And I cried about it because my wife had explained to me that this piece of monument is not only older than the Bible, but that meant that if our people were there that long, what else did they do? What else did they discover? What else were they advancing in? Because I had no idea. No one ever taught me. Nobody even told me, hey, did you know Tongans invented this? It's so weird for me to hear that now. Still, I'm 32 years old. But bro, we're in this shit. We got history. We are a rich culture too. And it's not highlighted enough. And I understand it's not like anybody's oppressing us, but we are the ones to give that knowledge now. So we hold that. And I take pride in it every time.
Hey, I want to ask you, this is something I've experienced before. That's why it's so important for people to know your worth and know your history, so you're confident in the world. Let me ask you this: have you ever? This has happened to me multiple times. Have you ever talked to Balangi's or white people and immediately feel uncomfortable?
If I'm the only one, that's fucked up. But yes, I know exactly what you mean. And yes,
I want everybody out there to ask, have you ever been, say, you can be very skilled in your industry, you can be very skilled in your subject, but have you ever walked in the room with white people and immediately feel like that you're not good enough compared to them?
Oh man.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. And that's how, for me, I used to do door-to-door sales, right? Door-to-door sales.
Okay.
So I used to go to people's houses. I used to sell different energy products. But I remember that I used to talk to white people, and immediately I just felt like I wasn't inadequate enough to talk to them. Even though even though for myself, I knew I was very articulate. I knew for myself that I knew that, I'm just as smart as them and I'm just as good enough as them, right?
Yeah.
But I remembered, as soon as I talk to white people, that I just feel less. I just feel like I just want to, I just feel I'm not good enough, and I had just this fear, and I really asked myself, where's this coming from? I'm cool with every other race, right? But then when I talk to white people, I just feel like that I can't be on that same level. But then I realized, like I said, that's when I did my research, that they have implanted that within my mind unknowingly, because I grew up in the American education system where all I learned about is white history. All I learned about is white people. So I didn't know that they were literally programming me to the point where I wasn't confident in my own skin and in my own ability as a Pacific Islander, because they have taught me to associate power, intelligence, greatness, wealth and prosperity to white. That's
it's right? Associated with the idea.
I know. But the reality is, like I said, but the truth is, no, there's, and that's all. Whenever it's funny, whenever I thought about white people, I always thought about prosperity.
Yeah, we associate that automatically.
And let me add, for anybody that's watching, I want to ask you this: when people say, and I'm not, when people say white neighborhood,
Yeah.
what's the first thing that you think about when I say white neighborhood?
Nice, very nice.
Okay.
Very, houses are
All right.
very well designed.
Okay. When I say black neighborhood, what's the first thing you hear?
The ghetto projects, that shit is fucked up.
So, but see what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Those ideas has been implanted in our mind to associate certain things based on what we've been taught at a really young age, based on the education that we have. And the sad thing is, I see this with Polynesians, right? When we say Polynesians, when we say college degree, what do Polys say?
Oh shit.
I can't. No, that's I don't know.
Oh
I
no.
don't know.
Wait. Oh, you're talking about if we say that to ourselves.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That, or like they associate it with sports and shit like that, but it's never a conversation of, oh yeah, I can do it.
Yeah, what I'm saying is whenever we associate things like starting a business, getting a degree, outside of sports, right? Just things that we can excel in and do better in. We don't have the confidence because we just can't see ourselves in that. We just can't see ourselves as successful Polynesians. That's what they always say. You have to who we are on the inside is going to be a reflection of who we are on the outside. If you can't see yourself as a articulate, intelligent, powerful Polynesian, then that's what the reality is of how you're going to be on the outside, right? And that's why that's why I'm saying that's why it's so important for people to learn their history. When you learn that your ancestors were powerful people, when you learn your ancestors were great people, it did so many great things, and you learn about your own history, it's just going to change your perception of yourself, or how you see yourself.
Oh man, bro, we can go back and forth about this because it's a form of mind conditioning or programming. I'm not gonna say like in evident we got it down on paper. I actually got proof, but you got to imagine that. So if I come from Tongan, and no shot towards any church or religion, because religion plays a big part of why we're conditioned this way. Because if we normalize it at home and we normalize it in the church, we will normalize it in the public.
But just to add to your point, how did white people colonize? How did white people colonize and take over colonies? Using what? What was it? One of their methods? Religion.
Yeah.
That's how. Yeah.
And that's the crazy thing. Like I had a very good conversation with my brother, and it got so heated to a point. And I felt where he was coming from, and he felt where I was coming from. The thing I needed him to do was let down his pride to just hear me on a theory. All right, it was a theory and nothing more, nothing less. If anything, is speculating. All right, I didn't have any solid evidence, but what I was saying was, think of it this way, okay? And whoever we believed in, and whatever we were believing in, we must have been well off because I could already tell we were a spiritual people before the coming of Christianity. Now, if we say we were never colonized, which in case we were never colonized by another nation, in actuality, does that mean we were colonized by religion then? Because we accepted Christianity. And if that means we took that into account, what changed after that? Well, then you look, we start to normalize more shirts, clothes. We start to normalize foods. They destabilize our way of living by bringing in livestock, things like chicken, horse, pig, and we start to eat that. They bring in other forms of growth as far as agriculture, like corn or anything that is not native to our land, but we grow it there. And we begin to eat these things. And now we become obese. It starts to attack our arteries. We then start to utilize their medicine. When their medicine comes into play, we start to use their technology. And now we start to adapt their way of living as far as whenever there's a hospital, we always associate that rather than home remedies. We still don't remember Faito'o. We still don't remember Vaipala. We still don't remember the things that were natural to us that we were already doing. And I can't get too much into it without it being too emotional or somebody taking too much offense to it. But what I will say is I have no problem with religion or actual history. What I have a problem with is why aren't we the ones writing the books or the ones telling it? That's the problem I have. Because I read this linguistic doctor, such an amazing man. I forgot his name. I've seen him on YouTube. Somebody shared it on Facebook. And he asked this one simple question. He's an indigenous person. And all he said was, if you ever notice in every language around the world, there's no word for the word hate. There's no word in it in our culture. There's no word for it in Samoan. It's actually proven there's no word. And any word now that has adopted the word hate is young. It is not old enough that predate ancient language. So I sat there and I kind of thought about it. I'm like, oh my God, did we ever hate each other?
No.
There's no word for hate in the Tongan language. And I thought to myself, so then why do we feel so inferior when we're in these conversations with, whether it's white people, black people, and we always feel the need to just be quiet because somebody changed the mentality. How do you change the mentality of a warrior? Take him out of the war and then put him into an environment that he's not natural to.
Yeah.
And since then, I've been on to this whole bit about researching and studying our own people, our own history, and promoting more of that and less of what is already known. I don't care about Christopher Columbus. I don't care about Thanksgiving. I don't care about none of that stuff. If it is not approved by the indigenous people of that land, I don't want to hear it because all you're going to tell me is what was colonized first.
Yeah.
Most people trip out when I tell them, so you celebrating 4th of July? Like, yeah. Do you know what 4th of July is? Yeah, our independence from England. I'm like, okay. Well, how do you think that came about? Oh, well, they came in and tried to steal it from us. Do you ever think that there were some people here before we got here? Yeah, the Indians. And did we technically take their land? So shouldn't they have independence? What are you getting at? I'm just saying we can't have independence if we stole from them first. And people are like, I don't want to talk about this. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm just saying. But it's a weird conversation to have when people realize, oh my God, you're fucking right. So.
No, that's great. Hey, that is crazy. I never thought about that. When you said like there's no word for hate in the Tongan language, I'm trying to think right now, like what is the word for hate?
I don't know, but this linguistics doctor, what he was trying to make a note of is when colonization happens throughout the world, is any word after that comes after colonization is a slang term.
Yeah.
So anything like, I don't know, the most hateful word that I can think of in the Tongan language is manguli. And I'm like, where the fuck did that come from? And my wife told me that's actually a really bad word, but how did that word come about? And it comes right after colonization.
Yeah. But the only word I can think of in the Tongan language when it comes to hate is like fehia. Well,
close enough. But I mean, still not on the dot. But yeah, that's close enough.
But no. That's really dope because I never because like a lot of the words that we have now came after when the Balangis came.
And I didn't even know we have two different dialects. There's an older form of Tongan speaking.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, it is. Yeah, yep.
And I'm 32 learning that now, but it's such a beautiful thing to me because I'm learning it. Not this guy trying to teach me in a college course, trying to fucking grade my work based on my people. So it's a weird dynamic, but that's why I wanted to highlight that on your podcast is, Tongan, just if you're watching this and if you're listening to it now, know who you are because you are somebody. We are people. We are people of the South Pacific, and we come from the island of Tonga. And our king and queen are a testament to who we were in the past.
No, it's funny. I'll give an experience. A story. We were talking about colonization. If you look at it, especially if you look, in history, in American history, that the white people, they enslaved the black people, right? Yeah. And the one thing that a lot of black people started to realize, they realized that education is the way to free.
Freedom. That's
freedom,
it.
Right?
That's the
education.
Key.
Yeah. So one thing you just mentioned before, it's really, really important. Who's teaching this information to make sure, right? To make sure it's our own people should be the one teaching this information. Now, if you look at it, what did black people do? They started their own colleges. It's called HBCUs.
Exactly, HBCUs. Yeah.
Right. They wanted to make sure that black people was teaching their own people their education, right? And it's funny is like I went to a HBCU for college for football.
Oh, yeah. We went in Tonga. Oh, we got one in there.
So I went to Hampton University. It's a college.
You went to Hampton?
Yeah, I went to Hampton. Yeah,
bro, you got okay. I fucks with that. That's dope as fuck.
So, but this is I'm gonna share. So I grew up in Texas. I grew up in Utah, different parts of America, and of course Cali. But so I had black friends, right? So what I'm telling you right now, there was a different level of black people I met when I went to HBCU.
They know where they're at. They
know. Yeah, they knew like the level of confidence, their confidence in their intellect, in their ability.
That's all we need to do. That's all we need to do.
like the ideology of not bowing down. Like they weren't afraid of being black, or like the black excellence and the pride of being black.
Yes,
I've never seen that type of level anywhere else until I went to a HBCU. Usually a lot of a lot of the black friends I used to grow up with, right? Like I'm not saying it's all black people, but the black friends I used to grow up with, all they wanted to do was like, sleep around.
Because they don't see that. They don't. Exactly. They're not adapted to that.
But then and you're just saying, like, because just growing up in a poor neighborhood, that's all we used to talk about. But then I remember when I went to HBCU, I was having conversations with people that wanted to be doctors, scientists, entrepreneurs. Like there was no talk about like I just want to be average. Like everybody, I'm not saying for the most part,
today,
everybody, and that was normal. Like oh yeah, I want to go IT. I want to start an entrepreneur. I want to be a millionaire, a billionaire. All these are conversations I was hearing from all those African Americans that I went to school with. But then when I come back here in Cali and I have conversations, like I could, like
still see it. You see the difference in growth. Like man, and that applies to us too. That applies to us too, because I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like my auntie back in Tongan is not a mathematician. Her math is fucking amazing.
Yeah.
She knows trigonometry. She knows calculus, the highest forms of math. But when she comes in here to America, she laughs at the education. And I'm like, why are you laughing, making fun of us? You guys are from Tonga. And I'm thinking with my young mind, oh, that's a third world country. Tonga's a third world country. Well, who told me that? Who told me it was a third world country? Because my auntie knows high level fucking rocket science math.
Yeah.
And here she is working at a fucking Target when her degree isn't valid here in America.
Yeah.
Fucking blows my mind.
I know.
Blows my mind.
And I remember like we used to go to class and they would talk about when it happened, like they would talk about all the prominent black figures in history. To be proud to be black, be proud of who you are. They would teach that as we're teaching the college lessons. And I've never seen that before.
Yes.
Especially when I went to high school, I've never seen that before. That was a whole different experience when I went to a HBCU. Just seeing that type of level of African Americans compared to like just the typical African Americans I used to hang out associate with.
That's beautiful. Thank you for going to that school, Toko.
Yeah,
because you never know. The kid who's watching this might be, speculating, should I go here and go there? And then they hear you say, oh, he went to a HBCU. Shit, I'm going to go now.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Is like, I feel like it's like Polynesians, like, whoever's out there that's successful has the finances. Like we should, honestly, that's what I'm saying. Is we should start our own schools.
It's going to happen. I believe it.
Honestly, when I make it big one day, I'm telling you, that's what I'm going to do.
Bro, it's coming, because right now, I even know this for sure. Everybody who's been on your podcast in a lot of ways was like when I was growing up watching BET or MTV. On those shows, when those people came on before they were famous, they made a mark. So anybody on the Will Nakuzi podcast now, best believe that whether you're Tongan, Samoan, Fijian, Guam, or wherever you come from, that if you've been on the Will Nakuzi podcast prominently, when you end up somewhere, we're all going to remember this point that we spoke it into life before it happened.
Yeah, for sure. But that's something I feel like the people never aware or never talk about, or they're afraid to talk about, right? That there's a reason why we think this way as Polynesians, and people never go down deep enough, because that's a conversation that people don't want to admit because about
it's
pride.
Scary. I'm not gonna lie, it's scary because it means it will tear apart everything is true.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't want to feel like they're controlled.
Oh fuck, man! You're talking about my mom. I love my mom very much, but control is one thing. I pray that my mom understands. Like, and I'm not highlighting her to downplay her. I'm highlighting her because she's still in this mentality that white is right and black is whack.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's gonna come with time, but I pray for my mother every day. You know what I'm saying? So there's not much I can do about it.
Yeah, and also like the one thing when the Polynesian, when the Polynesian dates a black person.
I just did a TikTok about this shit.
Like where did the idea come from? When somebody dates a black person, we just hate that person or hate their kid.
What's
Do you
wrong
think
with it, bro?
do you really think
What
that's
is
something
wrong with
Polynesians
it?
would do? You really think that, like, especially the love that we say we have as Polynesians,
Yeah.
the Christian values that we have of going to church? But like, do you feel like that we? For me, I'm like, is that really our culture? Is that really our way of thinking, or did somebody tell us that?
No,
Tell us
it
that.
is. We've adopted the mindset because it's a
Exactly.
form.
That's what I'm saying.
It's a
Exactly.
form of colorism, and this is to the listeners and the viewers. Me and brother Will here. We're here. We understand this. But to you who might be watching this or listening to it right now, it is something we need to unlearn. It is something we need to evaluate within ourselves that whether we date out the culture or marry out the culture, there's nothing wrong with it. The only reason why we have an issue with our elders who see it as wrong is the mind conditioning they've been through.
Yeah.
And we forget that love is no longer the focus. It's, well, you're gonna shame our family doing that. And like, why?
Yeah.
Why is that?
And also, like you said, you talk about colorism. Like, even into our own people that's darker, right?
Yeah.
We see them a different light compared to the Polynesians who are light skinned.
It's fucking weird seeing a dark person tell another dark person, "Oh, we don't fuck with them." What are you talking about? You're the same complexion. It makes no sense.
Yeah. But bro, that shit, But like I said, that's a conversation people don't want to have. So I'm glad we had that conversation. Anyway,
hey, man, that's dope. Honestly, I think you're the first. If you're not the first Polynesian, you're the first Tongan I've ever met that went to an HBCU. That's fucking dope.
Yeah. I don't know if anybody came before me, but I think I'm maybe the first one. But
you have to be, because I've never heard of that shit.
Yeah. But I'm not gonna lie, that literally changed me. That really, when I went to that school, that really changed my mindset.
Hopefully, we get one too. We get a TCGU or something.
Oh no, yeah. Hey, let's speak it into existence. Hey,
for real, no, it's coming. It's coming. I promise you that it's coming,
bro. That's gonna be. I'm like, if we can make our own college, and I know we can. We can.
Yeah,
you can. That's gonna be
shit. You went to one, so that's a sign already. We're gonna make one.
Make our own college. Yeah, that's dope. Yeah. So I do want to transition right into spirituality. I know that's something you wanted to mention. I know you for yourself that also was a part of your life and a big difference of who you are today. So yeah, can we talk about spirituality? Because I know for me, my personal experience, people don't love when I meet a lot of people, they don't know the difference between spirituality and religion.
Ooh, I'm not. This is such a fucking funny conversation to have, man.
They think it's the same, right?
Yeah.
So
definitely not the same.
And the reason why I say that, because a lot of people attach spirituality to religion, and a lot of people say, "Oh, if you don't go to church, then you're fucked up spiritually." Yeah.
It's another adopted mindset.
Yeah. So yeah, can you talk about that? Can you elaborate on that?
So before I came to this understanding, I'm not going to sit here in front like I didn't believe like I wasn't following religion. I was a devout Catholic growing up. I grew up in the Catholic Church. I followed Catholicism, went to Sunday school, tried to receive all the sacraments. The last I had was I had confirmation, Holy Communion. I was baptized, and all I needed was marriage and on my deathbed to confess. But the one thing I noticed about the Catholic Church that always never sat well with me was, one was gay people, and then two was the lack of history of my people in it. So if I didn't see my people in it, it's weird that, Catholic is a thing in the islands, but my cousin was gay. And why I speak on this was that I had a lot to do with it. Not him being gay, but I gay bashed my cousin with the lack of understanding I had, not because I hated him, but at the time, my auntie, his mother, tried to deny it in the most ignorant way. And I don't blame her either, because she had a lack of understanding. She didn't know how to accept it. But the church made us believe that it is wrong, it is evil, it is sinful to be gay. Man shall not lay with man. And my auntie not only beat my cousin up, she had all us boys whip his ass and tried to beat it out of him as if it was a demon, and we were anointed enough to exorcise it out of him. I'm no way making fun of this. This is not a joke. I put this on everything I love. I beat my cousin to get the gay out of him. And even though I knew it was wrong, and I knew that something in my heart was telling me to stop this, I did it in the name of the church. I did it in the name of the religion we were following, because my auntie wanted him to get it out of him. We thought it was a demon. when I came to the later realization that, man, I basically committed a hate crime towards my cousin because of the lack of understanding we had, I went soul searching, and it fucked me up for a long time. I thought I was Mormon. I thought I was Methodist. I thought I was Seventh-day Adventist. I went to all these churches. I even tried Jehovah's Witness. And to no avail, I was satisfied with my spirituality, not understanding that spirituality was a thing. I was still following religion. I was still following the doctrine of man. And the more and more I dove into religion, I was finding more and more pain within myself and in the community until I finally realized, man, I'm just going to stop going to church. I'm going to stop going to church. I'm going to step away from the Bible. I'm just going to let whatever's happening happen. And years later, I meet my wife, and my wife, she's a devout Christian. My wife is a devout Christian. She loves Jesus. She loves God, and she believes them, and she believes she's going to go back to heaven. But she always tried to crack down on me like, hey, you ever consider this? She never forced it on me. Last year, I did it. I tried it. I went all the way in. I was in the church. I was a part of the ministry. I was serving. I was all up in the understanding. I was in the Bible consistently 7 days a week, 24 hours in my word, bro. When I tell you that Psalms, Acts, Proverbs, one of my most favorite books from Luke to James to John 1 and 2, I went in search of these people and trying to apply the scripture to my life, that I realized that I don't need anybody to teach my word if I go looking for it myself. Yeah. And I came to the realization that there was some stuff I dealt with in the church that pushed me away from the church. And I have nothing against those people anymore. They made their judgments. I made my decision and I left. But the peace that I found after was that, and a lot of it had to do with reggae music, shout out to, everything from Lucky Dubé to Bob Marley to the Wailers to, Taurus, everything I listened to. I went into this real deep spiritual journey. Hi, babe. Yeah, go run. Okay. My wife is over here.
It's all good.
No, but anyways, reggae music helped me to discover too. So, I learned original Christianity in the people of Ethiopia, and that Christianity actually belonged to a people. There's the original Christianity before it is perverted by the doctrine of discovery by the Vatican and Pope Alexander. That's a whole lot to say, but I'll explain that another time. These people of Ethiopia who adapted I don't know if they're the ones who created Christianity. I'm still learning it, but they believe God to not only be the creator of all things, but he is all things, even within us and all around us. So I believe that much, that God will never judge me. God will never forsake me, nor will he leave me if I believe him to be who he is. So my whole understanding now is everything I read in the Bible is to apply to my life. It doesn't mean that I live the same way they live. I can't fulfill the law. I can't fulfill the commandments. I am not Jesus. I can't, I'm not grace. I can't heal people. I can't do anything he did. But the one thing I can do is teach other people about the promise of God himself. And within that, I've learned to forgive myself of everything I've went through in the past. And now I'm on a journey to discover my true history and who the Tongans actually believed in before Christianity came. Mm-hmm. And I'm no longer judged about that within myself. I don't condemn myself. I'm okay that God is helping me to understand that my people did have a way before there was this way. And if I do come to discover that truth and find out what happened back then that took place, why we lost that is a prayer that I'm going to dive deep in with God myself. But it is important. Spirituality to me is not opening a book and diving into it to validate myself. Spirituality is believing in something that makes me not only a better person, but that connects all mankind and humanity to be better than yesterday, and to promote that through everything we do all the time. Because I shouldn't have to be black for you to feel where I'm coming from. I shouldn't have to be white for you to feel where I'm coming from. If I'm a Tongan man and you are a black man or a white man, the one thing we are going to connect on is you believe in me and I believe in you. And that's what's going to connect us, is that spirit. And I meditate. I look into different practices. I believe in the mind, the body, and the spirit. And there are things I'm always connecting and looking into different cultures to why we all share the same practices, but have different perspectives. So that's where I'm at right now in my spirituality, is that this is my wife, by the way. Maybe want to say hi. This is Will, babe.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Hi, I'm from L-Town.
Yeah, La Paja. Yes. I know you're from La Paja,
I'm
baby.
Tongan just like y'all, but I'm the best. I'm the best of all.
Oh my God. All right.
Shout out to all of my paha out there. Yeah.
I told you she's gonna rep that. But that's where I'm at in my spirituality. Is I'm more accepting. If you believe in Allah, if you believe in Buddha, by all means, we're gonna make a connection here. Because at some point in time, we all were practicing the same thing from miles apart. And how that was possible, I don't know. But there's a truth behind this, and I believe it starts with spirituality. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, man, I appreciate sharing that because a lot of the stuff you said, I can relate to because I'm Mormon right now, but I took a step away. I haven't gone to church in a while, probably over a year. I haven't gone back to church over a year. But the thing for me, what I did when I decided to go on my own journey to figure out my own spirituality, because for me, when I want to believe in something, I have to know it's real. And know everything.
Yeah, it has to be natural.
It has to be natural, and I can't have any doubts into something. I'm going to believe it, especially when it comes to like church and religion, right? Yeah. Like if I'm going to believe in something, I can't have any doubts within me. And for me, like when I did my own, there's a lot of things within. I've been a Catholic before, and before I was Mormon, I was Catholic. And for me, I just saw a lot of things that didn't make sense to me, that didn't kind of like align with the Bible, what they were preaching. Especially like Catholics, like like when I was Catholic, I used to see all those cases with those priests doing those things, to those kids, right, molesting kids,
molestation,
right, and I saw on articles where like a lot of times the Catholic Church would try to hide it or
sweep it under the rug,
under the rug, and for me it's like look, what their behaviors is not aligning with what we're learning in the Bible. Like the Bible is talking about love and how we treat other people, but like and make sure we live a life without sin, right? Yeah. But then these people that are sinning, and then the church knowing full well that they're sinning and hurting these kids, for me, and totally hiding them or just moving them to a different. Because if you read it, if you do your research, they'll just move. Oftentimes, they'll just move that priest to a different church, a different part of the world. And then for me, that's evil, right? That's evil. But how are we like as a church, as a Catholic church? And like I said, I say this based on my own experience. Like I'm not saying all Catholic people are terrible. So if you're Catholic right now, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying is. For me, it didn't make sense that there's evil going on within the hierarchy of the church, and we're hiding this evil or allowing this evil to happen. Like, if we're talking about Jesus and love and the commandments, and to making sure that we stay within that path, but then I see evil, and the church is allowing that to happen. So for me, it was really, really hard to believe. And then, of course, I'd be a Mormon. And then, like I said, I just saw a lot of the things, Mormons were doing. And the thing is, for me, it was like, the one thing I started to ask myself is, what the things they're teaching me, right? How much of this is coming from God, and how much of this is coming from man?
You got to take it with a grain of salt. I know exactly what you mean. Yeah.
Right? Because you have to understand that everything that we learn about the Bible, that a man did it.
Oh, that's dangerous. Damn.
Right. I don't know if you ever seen that one game where they have like a line of people and you whisper a message to one person.
Telephone or like
telephone.
Eventually it gets to the end and it's not the original message.
It's not exactly right. So for me, it's like all these religions that we have now has been hundreds of years or 2,000 years, right? How much of that message that we know now is still in its original form, and how much of it is all just man, right? Yeah. And for me, it's like I can't believe in something with my whole heart, and because for me, like I take God seriously. Like He is my foundation. Everything I do in my life is given to Him in my own spirituality at this point of my life.
Your own understanding.
My own understanding, right? But the thing is, for me, is like if I'm gonna give all this energy and time, I need to know that this shit, what I'm receiving is real.
Yeah.
And not not the idea of an individual, of a man. Because because God, I'm not praying to a man. I'm not doing this for a man. I'm doing this for God, right? And that's why for me, I didn't sit well with me, because like a lot of, like, it's like we see it all the time, right? We see church members taking advantage of the people. We see misfinancing the church's finances, not using, utilizing it. I just see all these problems that happen within so many churches, and a lot of times, like, these, nobody brings them to light, nobody holds them responsible. These things keep happening, and people just throw it under the rug, and people keep doing what they're doing. But I'm like, man, like, for me, I was like, I can't. I'm not gonna just disregard that,
Man, that's good.
And yeah, so that's why I'm at right now. Like, for me, like, I'm in my own spiritual path right now, where I just do my own prayer. I do my own conversation with God. I do believe in everything. I do believe a lot of the core principles and values of Jesus Christ, loving each other, love somebody like the way you want to be loved. The commandments. But for me, it's just like it just didn't sit well with me, because I just don't know how much of what I've been taught is coming from God, and how much what I've been taught is coming from something that a man made up.
Yeah.
Because, like, for me, if I feel like something was man made, and a lot of the reason, the way I know something is man made, when it benefits, like whenever I see something that benefits, that doesn't, like, I'm trying to think of an example right now. Shoot. Like when we sometimes, when church gives people an amount, like, hey, this is what we need for, like.
I think what you're saying is, as far as, like, if it sounds like it's beneficial or corruptible, it's man-made.
Yes, I'm saying, yeah, because go ahead, yeah.
No, you're absolutely right. Like, I think what's important, what you said in the beginning, was that because men wrote this, interpretation, it can be wild.
Yeah.
And I think the core question, a good friend of mine, when I was on the debate team back in junior college for my African American history course, A and B, a good friend of mine, Darrell Johnson, once said to open his opening argument, because he was supporting the con against the Bible, which was, his opening statement was, and this shit always sits with me: if man wrote the Bible, can men lie? And what hurt me about that was, at that time I was still devout to the church, but I couldn't fucking deny it. I was like,
yeah, exactly, yeah.
So this guy just asked, if man wrote the Bible, can men lie? Meaning, do you know how much power is in that man's pencil right now at this point in time, that he could change a whole fucking, like, lineage of people who read this shit based on what he wants from it? And whether that sounds evil or diabolical, you would always only have to look at two facts: is it going to benefit him and his community, and how many people are they going to corrupt? And what hurts even more about that today is, like, when people hear about church and money, it never goes together. Never goes together.
Yeah.
Because if you correlate money being the root of all evil, but you see it in church, what does that make the church?
Yeah.
And it's such a scary thing to talk about. It's a very dangerous thing to talk about, because one, you're either looking at getting fucked up by somebody, or two, everybody's gonna cut you off. I don't fuck with that. You're talking the devil's language, and it's never to find understanding or look at perspective, but it always comes from a place of, the pastor didn't tell me that, so I'm not going to listen to you because the pastor didn't tell me that. And then when people actually realize, they don't go to church no more. But if you dive into the Bible does have some answers in there that are really valid, even in 2021 right now. That when I look at church, I look at it in the fundamental principle in the Bible, which says, where two or three are gathered, there he is. And that alone is the church, because in a lot of what we were reading in the stories, Jesus wasn't always in the church. This dude was walking miles in the marketplace, in the public. Hell, I think at one point he even gave a sermon on a roof. And I'm like, if we focus so much on the building and forget the structure of people believing in him, people are going to just leave. And I don't blame you for that, bro. I honestly don't. you know, I'm sorry that you're going through that, or you went through that. But I will say this: you definitely seem spiritually inclined. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah. No, yeah, like what I'm saying is like, from one thing I do know is like the purest form of the Bible and the things that comes from God, that shit always works. It never fails. Like even more like a perfect example, like on the Bible it says, treat other people the way you want to be treated.
yeah,
That never fails. I've never seen
never does.
that. I've never seen anybody use that principle and fail in life. Like if you treat people the way you want to be treated, it always works out.
It would be weird if someone said, "Why are you being so fucking nice to me?"
Yeah. All right. So the things that's what I'm saying is, I believe that the things that God teaches us, God doesn't fail, right? Because that's why like God, the purest form of God of His knowledge, it doesn't fail. But I feel like the things that we try to that I learned from the Bible, it causes people pain and suffering, and it's constantly failing, but nobody's saying anything about it. That's when I have an issue with, because like, okay, is this because I do believe like everything the purest form, the fundamentals that you talked about, like kindness, love, compassion, forgiveness, those things, if you utilize it the right way, it never fails you. It never fails you, right? Those are things that the purest form of the Bible. But every single time, like I see church do things that hurts people and makes people suffer, I feel like that's not directly coming from. I feel like a man made that.
Yeah.
I feel like some man made that. But yeah, I know that's a lot of people don't want to go on that topic. But like, go ahead.
No, like in a lot of ways, man. Like my understanding of the Bible is, I use it to source material.
Yeah.
When I don't want to listen to what man has to say, I'm gonna go back to the past and see what they were doing.
Yeah.
And in a lot of ways, when you get to the stories of when Jesus, it comes into play, I look at it this way. You know, I'm a nerd. You know, I come off of Marvel, DC, anime, all that shit. So in a lot of ways, I'll look at it like that. Like if anybody says the Bible is fictional, then whatever, that's your opinion. But if I do look at Jesus in like a fictional character, like Captain America or Superman, I want to be like him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I want to be like, because Jesus overall is a fucking superhero. This dude, oh shit, my bad. This dude sat there and bared the brunt of everybody's bad mouthing. They asked him, look, Pontius Pilate said, look, this dude murdered somebody. This guy Barabbas. This guy's just up here for blasphemy. Do you want me to punish the murderer, or do you want me to punish the blasphemer? Everybody in the crowd chose Jesus. If that is not a marker to what's going on today, that even some of the most diabolical people that you're pitted up against are always going to be based on the majority, what they think of you. When you lose, it should never be surprising, because people will always go off the narrative. So if the church is telling you to stay away from those people, the majority is always going to listen to what the church has to say rather than what God is telling us.
One of the biggest problems I have is because a lot of people that are very religious, especially Polynesian people, right? The church leader, they take the advice of the church leaders is advice that they always respect, right? And the problem I see sometimes is when people are going to church leaders for advice for things that they're not experienced in. I'll give you an example. Like I've seen this so many times where women will go to a church leader and say, "Hey, my husband's beating me up." Right? He's beating me up, and I've seen that, and they would turn around and say, "Hey, you have to keep the family together for the sake of the religion, for the sake of the faith, for the sake of," and I've seen this happen, and for me, it's like, what the, like, for me, I didn't understand that where, number one, for me, like I think you just mentioned, we talked about earlier, like you shouldn't take advice from people that have never gone through what you went through, or don't have not experience of what you went through, right? And sometimes as Polynesian people, we sometimes overvalue the advice of religious leaders, because we think that, okay, because they're a religious leader, that person's advice is final, is absolute, right? But I've seen a lot of people go to religious leaders with real life issues like abuse, domestic violence, rape, molestation, and then they will ask these leaders. A lot of these leaders are very traditional, old school, and would tell them, hey, because for the sake of the family, for the sake of the religion, for the sake of whatever, hold it together, and keep. I'm like, what the? And I'm like, yo.
And then what happens when they get killed? What happens when they get beat to death? What the hell happens?
Exactly. And I've seen this, and a lot of people don't want to talk about it, but I've seen this happen, bro. I'm like, and for me, like, why? I just understand, why would somebody tell somebody to go back into a situation that they're clearly hurting, and they're telling this to somebody that clearly they identify as, like, the spiritual messenger that has the knowledge and the advice, and they're telling these people to put themselves in a situation that only hurts them. When it's like, for me, that never made sense to me.
Never. That's never going to make sense, man. No matter how many times people try to make it.
Yeah. So that's that. So for me, it's like that line right there. So those are just many things I see. Like you said, like, for everybody out there that has a religion, everybody out there that's Catholic, everybody out there that's Mormon. Like I said, I have nothing against the church. I have nothing against your faith or whatever. It just, this is my own personal experience for myself, and also to my toko here too. This is our experiences of what we see.
Yeah.
And like this, that's one thing I always say. Leave it when it comes to always. The one thing I can say with people is, really know the difference between religion and spirituality.
Yes, please.
Make sure you know the difference, because we always, no matter what religion you are, whether you're not. The one thing I do know is for a fact is, it doesn't matter what religion, you don't have a religion. Everybody has a relationship with God. Everybody has a connection with God. It doesn't matter where you are, which part of the world you are in. And as long as you have your connection and relationship with God, and as long as you're trying to do your best and try to be a good human being. I know we're imperfect, but try to be a good human being. I feel like, I just don't believe that the only connection I can have with God, or the only way I can get my relationship with God, is through some kind of religion or organization, or through somebody.
Yeah.
Like,
we don't want a third party. If it can't be me and him directly, I don't want anybody else involved in this.
And there's a lot of religion that preach that there is no third. Like, we have to go through them, and if you don't go through them, then you have no shot. You have no shot. Bro. So, that was a good talk. That was a good talk.
So. All I'm gonna say is, if to any of my indigenous brothers and sisters, whether you come from anywhere in the world, and when I mean indigenous, I don't mean a specific people. I mean the people of the land. If you watch this, the only thing I would ask you to look into, as far as where religion stems from, look up the doctrine of discovery. Look it up, the doctrine of discovery, and start there as a reference point, and then work your way back to where we are at currently in society.
Yeah, for sure. I wanted to go into my last couple of topics. I know we talked about happiness. A lot of people, that's something I always promote: happiness, love, success. We can talk about happiness real quick. What is happiness to you? And also, because that's one of the things I see on social media. I see a lot of people on social media unhappy. Like we talked about earlier, a lot of people projecting happiness, but they're not really happy. And honestly, growing up as a Polynesian myself, as Tongan, I never knew what that was, like happiness. And for me, growing up, I thought being happy for me, I just looking back at my life, was just doing what my parents told me. If I did what my parents told me, if I just listened to what just be an obedient child, then I will find some kind of happiness. But so a lot of people out there don't know what the purest form of happiness is, don't know how to attain that happiness. So I think I'm really interested to see your perspective on that.
Okay. Well, first and foremost, if this dies, I'm going to call you on my phone. So I just want to let you know.
Yep.
But anyways, getting back to happiness. Happiness to me, and what it should represent, or what I believe it should represent, is the lack of stress. We should not be stressed about anything in life, because if we understand there's a lot of things in this world we can't control, but the things that we can control, that should make us happy enough. So for instance, I can't control and make my wife love me. I cannot control my kids. I know at some point, my kids are going to have to ask questions like, oh, Dad, I don't believe that's right. That's all going to come naturally if they believe in that. But I can't control anything outside of myself, and I should never try to. And anytime I do that and I get stressful about it, I'm no longer happy. I understand that I'm a father. I should be able to maintain my kids. I'm a husband. I should be able to listen to my wife. But for the things that go above and beyond, that's doing too much. That's not me being happy. That's me trying to reach or please people. For instance, if I get a job to take care of my family, get a job to take care of the family. Don't get a job to get stressed and come home and tell my wife, man, I almost beat up Craig today because Craig is an asshole, this and that. And then I'm taking it way too personal. Anytime work becomes too personal, bro, you're forgetting why the hell you're there. It should be as simple as this. Craig wanted that parking spot, let Craig take the parking spot. If Craig drank the last cup of coffee, let him drink the last cup of coffee. If Craig, told the supervisor that you were the last one to log in, there's not much you can do about it. But the best thing you can do is if you're still able to work, just go to work, man. Like, why I say that comes from a place of experiences. I used to be the type to fucking get pissed off at work and forget that I'm at work. And I'm over here trying to fucking knock my coworker's head off because he's over here, slacking on work, making me do all the fucking work and not realizing I have kids. But then I also got to realize this guy's like 21 years old. He doesn't know what he wants to do with his life. So why the fuck am I over here trying to ruin his life now? You know what I'm saying? That's not happiness in any way, shape, or form. But happiness should be the core of a lack of stress. There should be no stress when you're happy. I mean, that's the way I'm gonna. Because people can be happy doing drugs. People can be happy in the islands in paradise. People can be happy just with that one bottle of Coke. I don't know, but I know for me, if I'm stressing over something, I'm not happy, and I should never be stressed ever in life. Stress causes gray hairs. It causes. I mean, I have so many of them, and it causes you to age early. I mean, shit. Whatever they say in science, just don't stress, man. If it's stressing you, you got to remove it out of your life and consider your happiness to be first and foremost. So, for me, being happy, being happy right now is doing stuff like this, talking to you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So that's dope. I like that.
Yeah. I know that's one of the biggest things a lot of people are trying to figure out now is happiness and figuring out the definition of happiness. And a lot of people don't know what it is. And you had your, I love your definition of it. It's doing things that doesn't cause you stress. All right.
I know a guy personally right now who would rather go to work than sit at home with his family. And I'm not talking shit about him. He tells me that all the fucking time. I just want to go back to work. I'm like, bro, for real?
Yeah.
You only got two kids, man.
But also there's also for a lot of people out there, there's levels of stress. There's good stress and bad stress.
Yeah.
Whenever you do something that you love, but it's difficult, you're gonna have stress. But that's stress
But
that's stress
that comes with the territory.
That comes with the territory. Like if it's like losing weight, being healthier, building a career. Of course, those are difficult things to achieve. It's gotta be stressful, but it's a stress that's a good stress. Not the stress you wouldn't mind, but not the stress you just wanna you hate.
Yeah, straight up, man.
But for me, when it comes to happiness, I guess my definition of happiness is the making sure that I guess who we are on the outside and who we are on the outside is in harmony
with who you are on the inside.
Exactly. Yes.
So that makes sense. Yeah. Hell yeah.
That's my definition of happiness. Who you are on the outside is aligned and is in harmony with who you are on the inside.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Because I feel like happiness is like you said, it's an eternal thing. It starts within. It's something that we can create, we can control. Yeah. And I feel a lot of times the happiness when what causes people to be unhappy is something on the outside is not aligned with who they are on the inside.
Oh, I was 26 years old when I realized I could walk away from a fight. 26 years old. I realized I could walk away from a fight because I realized I can control that I can walk away.
Yeah.
Just like the same way I can control the way I'm going to react to this person and end up in jail. And from me doing that, I'm like, oh my God, I saved myself a trip to jail. And if I had understood that at 16, like shit, man, I would have eliminated a whole lot of stress,
Exactly, yeah. And that's why we talked about like self-identity, mental health. All those things are what? That's all eternal things we have to figure out within.
Yep, inside, man.
You're right. And so the more you can become, if you can live a life where who we are on the outside, like for me now, at this point in my life, who you see on the outside, who you see on social media, exactly who I am.
Yeah.
Exactly who I am. Like I'm like this. I'm very transparent. Like, like I'll talk.
Man, I know what you mean.
If you ask me to talk about my life, I'll talk about it. Like I'm just being me, being myself, and it's funny sometimes you meet, like, you mentioned earlier, like, why are you just being so nice? That's who I am.
I'm sorry, I'm smiling. I'm sorry, I'm in a good mood. I don't know.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I'm just being me, and then and yeah, I've learned, I've learned in the past that growing up, I was always trying to be somebody else. I was trying to do all these expectation standards and things. I was doing things that wasn't aligned with who I really was from the inside. And once I finally figured out, like you said, figure out who I was, and just being confident, being myself. And that's why we talked about earlier. That's why it's really, really important to focus on within and work on yourself, because the world will try to convince you to be something you're not.
And they do a damn good job of convincing us, man.
Yeah, exactly. And that's just the world we live in, right? And that the one thing I could say for everybody out there, just understand that, your happiness is your own personal journey that you have to go through. And what makes you happy may not necessarily what make other people happy. Just understand that. But there's a piece to it. Like, I know for a fact the way I live my life, people may not agree with it. People may disagree with it, but that's okay. That's something, they don't know my life. They don't know my story. They don't know what I've gone through. But this is who I am, and I'm proud of it. I've come at peace with it. Yeah. And that's one thing I could just say to everybody out there. If you're trying to figure out what happiness is, try to live your life as authentic as possible.
Yeah.
As authentic as possible. Just be yourself. I know it's like, this is, for me to be where I'm at right now. It's years. They took a lot of years
in
of work.
The making, man.
Years in the making.
It's not a trip. Like 5 years ago, 6, you weren't thinking about anything like this until it hit you.
Yeah. So this is a year. I mean, I try. Do I have my insecurities? Yeah. Do I have my moments of fear and doubt? And sometimes, yeah. But for me, I try to be myself, because I feel like there's this peace that I achieve just being myself. And then whenever I feel like, when I ever try to do something I don't want to do, or try to be something I never want to. I'm not trying to. That's not who I am. That's when I always attract like negativity and shit just happened to me. But when I realized for myself, when I just stayed within myself and be myself, then a lot of that stuff that I used to have before in the past just started to go away, and I used to attract the right people. So that's cool. Thanks, Doug. Thanks, you. Appreciate we could talk about that. Let's talk about love real quick. A lot of people don't know what love is. People trying to figure out love. So, what are your thoughts about love today?
Well, my thoughts of love today are based on what I assumed they were in the past, and a lot of what I thought love was in the past was just sex, man, like lust. That's what I thought love was. I thought love was lust, and I went through a very harsh phase of understanding that the love I thought I was receiving was the damage I was actually doing to myself, because I thought that the love I was giving or the love I was getting was was based on performance. Like, oh yeah, we had sex, you're good, or I'm good, is everything good? Until I realized, like, man, it's only temporary, bro. And then there's the risk of you getting a disease, and then the more you do this, you start to realize, man, like, what is the fulfillment I'm getting out of this? Until you actually meet that one person who I'm grateful for now. Shout out to my wife, who I love, supports me, and does everything that I never thought a human being could do for another. Man, she's the most perfect person I know in my life. She's everything Jah the Almighty I envisioned her to be, because I've never met anybody who could challenge me to be better than what I was yesterday. And now I'm in full agreement that love, to me, what it is now, is somebody who makes me better, or something that makes me better than who I was yesterday. Because I didn't have motivation or any kind of inspiration or form of focus to do better than what I was doing yesterday until I met my wife, and she made me strive. Like, she didn't easily give it up. I had to wait a whole last year. She was a virgin, and I had to do things out of my norm and out of my comfort zone until I realized I don't have worth within myself. I don't see a lot of worth in myself. I don't treat myself the right way I should be. Now, being 32 and being happily married, I understand that when some people talk about love, I know the love that I have is the love I want people to share with others. I know not all of us can obtain that, but I pray each and every individual in this world gets to experience that, because we are all deserving of that love. We are
Mhm.
all deserving, whether we believe we don't or we do. It all starts with loving yourself. If you love
Mhm.
yourself, you will love somebody will see that and want to love you too, and you will receive it. But love is not just sex, man, bro. If you're listening to this, young man, young woman, whoever is listening to this or watching this, love is not only more than sex, it is better than sex. And it's not just the act of physical connection, but there's the mental and the spiritual connection that all comes with it. And when you get to share that with somebody, or even if you don't, when you love yourself, man, it's such a universal experience. It's out of this world, man. I can't even explain it. I'm just exaggerating it because that's where I'm at in my life. But when you get a hold of it, keep it. Please keep it. So that's where I'm at with that.
Yeah, I think that's very important to talk about. Thank you for sharing that, Doko. And shout out to your wife too. Shout out to Lapa.
Thank you. Yeah.
But I know that's very important because everybody's trying to figure out what love is, right? And I love the way I love your definition. The love is somebody that pushes you to become better, right? And this is something I believe when it comes to love. I really believe that love is somebody that you can grow together.
Ooh,
Growth.
that's it right there. Yes,
right, you can grow
yes,
together.
Yes.
Right, because a lot of times people and the thing is, a lot of people associate love to like romance, right? Or
it's not gonna always be that. It's not
right, associate love to romance, to sex, to materialistic things like money, cars, or physical attraction, physical traits, physical looks. I mean, there's so many. Everybody has their own definition, but I feel like real love is growth, because in order to grow, you have to change, and in order to change, you have to have self-discipline, right? Some kind of self-discipline to make those changes, and that's why I always say you mentioned self-love, right? Self-love is having the discipline to love yourself and do things that's going to be good for you, even though it is hard and difficult, right? And then having somebody that loves you just as much as you love yourself, like they're willing to challenge you and push you to be great, even though it may not be always in agreement with each other.
I'm gonna say it like this: I dare anyone and anybody that if they think they're ready for love, try sitting up at 3 a.m. trying to work through someone's trauma, and you don't know where it started from, but you got to work back into the past to help them get through it. If you're willing to sit through that hours, days, weeks, months, even years to help them get through it, you truly love that person.
Yeah, because I always believe that like love is something you guys grow, right? And then I feel like sometimes people that with people that like you said, some people associate love with lust, right? Some people associate love with attention, right? Just because somebody gives you attention, I feel like the question you need to ask yourself is, when you're with somebody, you say that they say they love you, ask yourself, am I growing with this person? Spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically? Is this person pushing me to be better? Right? Because there's a lot of people out there that may give you attention, that may call you beautiful, that may have sex with you. But ask yourself, what kind of value they're really adding to you? Right? And a lot of people don't know the difference between that, because because you can have somebody that may give you all the attention on social media, may like all your pictures, may give you take you on a date, but have sex with you.
All that shit is superficial, bro.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Shit. All that. No, like I'm agreeing with you. Like I'm telling you right now. Like I knew my wife really loved me for who I was. Not only just working through me with my past, but bro, like some of the stupidest shit I've done. I mean, even nights where I would go out drunk. My wife has cleaned me up in my own shit and piss and my throw up and everything, and even worked to tell me up the next day, hey, you really need to stop that shit.
Yeah.
And still work with most people to walk away. Man, I ain't gonna deal with this shit. I ain't taking care of no fucking babies.
Exactly. So yeah, and a lot of people, and I feel like that's something. What do you call it? I feel like sometimes people are so like they want to have relationships so fast, they never put themselves in a situation to see the real version of the other person.
Wait. Can I say something about that too?
Go ahead.
Yeah, you don't even have to be in a relationship to find love. Honestly, like that's just me sharing my experience. If you love yourself and you can be in love with yourself, not being narcissistic, but if you love yourself enough to travel the world, see monuments, meet new people, try new things. By all means, that's love too. That is love too.
Yeah, and like I said, like self-love. You talk about self-love, like in order, like you have to love yourself first, because a lot of times people have these beautiful people, right? There's a lot of like, I'm sure there's a lot of girls out there just like your wife.
Yeah.
And the thing is, if you don't love yourself, as a man, you can't recognize that love.
Yeah.
You can't recognize that love because you don't see it within yourself. And I feel like a lot of guys and girls do that also. But also, like I always tell people is put, because people go through the honeymoon phase, honeymoon phase.
Bro, honestly, I'm still shocked that, and no knock to them. Hey, more happiness and peace towards them. But Kim Kardashian and Kanye West are still together. This shit is amazing.
Yeah. So like, that's why I always talk about before growth, right? Go like find somebody that can challenge you. Find somebody that will disagree with you, and put yourself in uncomfortable situations.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's why I feel like a lot of times if people's relationships, I remember I've gone through a lot of relationships in the past with people that girls like hella beautiful, right? Hella beautiful. I'm not. But the thing is, I just felt like I wasn't growing, and I feel like for me is like if you ain't growing as an individual, because like I said, it's gonna be really really hard. I'm trying to figure out what's the best way to say it because I don't want to disappoint the girls.
What are you trying to say? Don't fold under the pressure, man. How do you perform under the pressure?
No, I feel like no. I had it. Oh no. Because if you ain't growing, you die.
Oh yeah. Oh, that makes absolute sense. Oh fuck.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I feel that's what love is. Like if you're not growing as people, then that love is gonna die eventually.
Yeah, you're either doing one of the two things. You're either living or dying. And if you're not
living,
growing, man,
you're
not
dying.
Die with you.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like love. I feel like love is the same thing. Like that's why you said have somebody that can challenge you. But if you have somebody you guys grow old with, if you guys growing mentally, spiritually, then that love is always gonna last forever. But if you with somebody that you don't really grow as a person, as an individual, then that is eventually gonna last. That honeymoon phase is gonna last. That sex is gonna get old.
Yeah.
The physical attraction, that shit's gonna get old.
Man, trust me, bro. Like it's. I'm just grateful that me and my wife are at where we're at because if I was still stuck in the mindset that I was yesterday, man, I don't know. I don't know honestly if I would be functioning. But I pray for anybody who's out there who's stuck and think that they need love with a person to be something or be somewhere in life. You don't, man. You don't.
Yeah.
If you love yourself, you'll figure it out.
Yeah, you love yourself. Yeah, you love yourself. Take care of yourself, and you're gonna attract those right people that have that same energy, that same love that you deserve. And then those are the people that you should people be with. Yeah. So that's cool. Thanks for talking about that. I know a lot of guys out there, like I said, guys like know the difference, especially if you're young. I know a lot of guys think that body count and having all these women. That's what love is.
That's the game now. That's the fucking game now, man. It's so sad when they get older and they realize it's just a phase, man.
Yeah, it's just a phase. So thanks, Soko. Yeah, and then I guess the last thing we could talk about success. And I know you mentioned the importance of taking success of like when I say success, it doesn't for me. It's not monetary value. I'm talking about money. For me, success is living the purpose that you were created by Heavenly Father. Everybody has a purpose in this world. If you try to align yourself with that purpose and just live your best life and be the best version of yourself. And I feel like when it comes to purpose, when people are living, I feel like when you're living a purpose, the way you know you're living a purpose is you're not only you're bettering yourself, but you're also bettering the people around you.
Yeah.
When you're bettering yourself and you're bettering the people around you, I feel like that's what your purpose is. But if you're in a situation where you're hurting yourself, you're hurting other people, that's not the purpose that you have. So, but you did mention the importance of family. So yeah, can you kind of talk about that real quick?
I guess what I think success or what I believe success to be is what am I going to be remembered for? I can't take the riches with me. I can't take my cars. Can't take my women. I can't take my dog. I can't take my house with me to the next life. But the one thing I can take with me is knowing that I left something here. For instance, if you remember me for creating electricity or the light bulb, by all means, that's dope. But the more important beneficial lessons. For instance, if I taught my son how to tie his tie, that guy's forever going to sit with that now. He knows how to go to interviews. He knows how to look business attire and still, hold himself to a high standard or, things of this nature. I measure or amount success to what am I remembered for? Because if I'm remembered for fucking stealing an old lady's purse or beating my wife, and man, that is not the success that anybody wants. But the success that I'm looking for in my life is right now is just not to be remembered, but what was I remembered for? And if anybody says that I was a good dad, I was a good worker, or if I was a good coach, whatever, by all means, I accept all of that in the name of Jah the Almighty. And that's what I amount success to is what do people remember me for? I don't care too much about the money because I understand that comes and goes. What I do care about is if I meant anything to you, you'll remember me.
Yeah. I always tell people money is a byproduct. Money is a byproduct by being great at what you are and living your purpose. And I just had one thought about, I forgot to mention this when we were talking about love. I want to share this with you, and then I'm interested to hear your thoughts.
Sure.
All right, maybe a lot of people may not like this, but a lot of people confuse love with the length of the relationship.
Ooh. Oh yeah, we were together for 15 years, but were you happy? Were
exactly.
You
yeah, exactly. So sometimes as Polynesians, I see this a lot that because we've seen our parents being married their whole lives, right? They feel like that they have to put them if they're in a situation that they feel like, okay, the only way if they're in a situation that doesn't cause them love, they think, okay, if I just ride it out, then that's what love is. Like, a lot of people, I always tell people, just because you see somebody that's been married for 10, 15, 20, 30, doesn't mean they're happy. I know a lot of Polynesian couples that have been married their whole life on the outside, but I know their business, like they're not happy with each other. Yeah. And a lot of times they have kids.
We're just staying together for the kids because the kids. Yeah, and if you're not holding your own happiness, at a standard, man, your kids will leave too.
Exactly, and I know a lot of I know a lot of couples that they've been married for a long time, and a lot of people fall into that fantasy. Okay, love is being with this person forever. No, and don't associate love with the length of the relationship. Just because you've been with this person, okay, I've been with this person for a year or 2 years. I guess this is what love is, even though you're not happy, even though that person is not treating you the way you'd be treated, but you think because that's the person that's been with you for the longest, you think that person is loving you just because he's been around, right? Yeah. And a lot of people don't know. I hate to tell a lot of people, sometimes people are just with you because you're the best. That's the best option they have for now.
It's a sad life, man.
And then the first thing they find somebody else, you're gone. So. Make sure you choose people that choose you.
Yeah, please do, please.
Yeah, that's something I noticed. A lot of girls, like they think it's love because that guy has been with you the longest. Or that's
I think more importantly is like, do you put a worth or a value over your happiness?
Yeah.
Because if you don't, then you're gonna settle with whatever at that point makes you feel good, I guess, temporarily.
Especially the ex that's been with you the longest, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're like, God. Well. I've been with him for 5 years. Yeah, but that doesn't mean he loves you. And I see there's a lot of people that associate the length of the relationship to love. And I always tell people, no, just because you've been with this person for the longest does not mean that person actually loves you. Right?
Yeah. Bill and Jane, they had a successful marriage of 15 years. Okay, and what do you equate success to? They were together for 15 years. Were they happy? Did they grow? Did they benefit from each other?
Did they love each other? Yeah.
Just because your fucking view, your view of success sucks, man. I don't want to fucking have that kind of success.
Yeah. Just because people being in a long relationship, a long-term relationship, does not mean what love. I've seen a lot of girls that they'll date, or guys also, they'll date this one person for like 5 years, right? Leave that relationship and meet some dude. A girl 2 weeks later, and that's the best thing that ever happened to him.
Man,
and I've seen that happen. So don't attach like the length of the relationship, and don't fall into that trap just because that person's been with you for the longest.
Don't fall for the hype.
You have history with that person.
Yeah.
that means that person loves you. So yeah, make sure you know the difference. So, but Toko, man, we've we had some great conversation. We come to the end of the podcast.
Hey, man, it's been an honor and a pleasure, Thuggo. I truly appreciate it. If
Man,
anything,
thank
the
you.
one thing I took away from this is that perspective is truly important, man. Perspective is truly important because if we're going to grow as a community, everybody that has a perspective should speak on their perspective. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah,
I appreciated your perspective, honestly, because I didn't see things a lot like that until I talked to you, honestly. And I mean, I think the dopest
Likewise.
thing was that, the highlight of this is, bro, you went to a HBCU, bro. That's fucking, hey, that's lit as fuck, man. I want to ask you how the parties were. I want to ask you what the life was like.
Bro, off the chain, bro. Off the chain. I've never seen parties like that. I didn't like black women, so I went there.
Let's go! Let's go! My God, yes! Oh
I like.
my God.
Oh man, I'm telling you that there's a different type of
it just gives you appreciation for culture, man.
Different culture.
We got to be a connoisseur of communities, honestly.
Yeah. And it was just so beautiful, and I just wish we could do that for our own community. That we just have so much confidence in ourselves, and I know, hey, if it doesn't happen in our lifetime, I just want to plant the seed now. Yes. Plant the seed. If it doesn't happen in our lifetime, at least I'm gonna plant the seed.
That person, that man or that woman's gonna watch this episode or this podcast, and be like, I'm gonna make that shit right now. Man, so
man. I know, but hey, the same thing with you, Toko. Thank you so much. I learned so much. I learned so much from you also. The one thing I always ask every guest at the end of the show to end up the podcast, if they can share some final thoughts to everybody. So can you just share some final thoughts, some words of wisdom, and then we'll end the podcast with that.
Okay. So.
He's gonna jump back on, y'all. All right, we are. We hear you. Hello. Yo. 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 Hello. Yo. Yo. Yo.
What up, Thuggo? My bad. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yo. We are CEO.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Oh, my bad. Okay. Yeah, my bad. The iPad just died.
Yep.
No, but what I was saying was just two things I'd like to share before I go to all your listeners and viewers. One thing was I learned from The Rock. Shout out to Dwayne Johnson. If I ever get a chance to meet you, it is nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice. And second is to be the warrior in a garden rather than the gardener in a war. Meaning, to whatever situation you should be in, man, you adapt. It's honest, just adapt to it. So that's all I have to share.
Was the last one to be a warrior
in the garden? I would be the warrior in a garden rather than the gardener in a war.